Chapter 851. The two finished their supper and returned home. Jinxiu didn't say a word on the way home, and when she got home, she also hurried back to her room. Yang Cheng thought she was tired and didn't think much of it. Originally, Yang Cheng wanted to talk to Lin Ruoxi, but she locked the door and didn't give him a chance to talk. Helplessly, Yang Cheng had to wait until the next morning when Lin Ruoxi went out to exercise. The next morning, the red sun in the east had just released a thin curtain of light, and the international metropolis of Zhonghai was already busy. Because of its geographical location, the Shijiao villas were relatively quiet. However, because it was an affluent area, many people went out to exercise early in the morning, especially some old men and women who had nothing else to ask for but good health. Therefore, there was a trend of exercising in this area. Due to the humanization of the design, the artificial lake on the east side of the Shijiao villas was surrounded by all kinds of fitness facilities and open spaces for the people in the nearby high-end apartments and villas to do all kinds of exercises. Under the dense trees, on the smooth asphalt road, a beautiful figure ran at a moderate speed. Wearing a white sweatshirt, light gray sports pants, and a pair of pink and white running shoes, Lin Ruoxi ran from home to here, just like she did 2 days ago. Many people on the roadside and by the lake were used to her passing by. But after all, she was too eye-catching, and many old people would point at her, wondering whose daughter or daughter-in-law she was. In the first 2 or 3 days, some relatively young men would come up to talk to her, and all of them were young and talented, but they were all rejected by the woman. These people were not convinced, so they naturally wanted to investigate Lin Ruoxi's background. When they found out that this beautiful woman who suddenly appeared out of nowhere was the CEO of Yulei, Lin Ruoxi, they all subconsciously stepped aside. Not to mention the fact that he was already married. Even if he was single, this group of people would feel that he was out of their league. They might as well greet him in a friendly manner. Maybe they could become friends in the future and talk about cooperation. Lin Ruoxi originally didn't want to run to a place with people, but in a big city, it was really difficult to find a place without people to run. Moreover, Yang Cheng specifically said that she wanted a place with fresh air, and this lakeside was the most suitable place. She didn't care too much. If others like to watch, then let them watch. After running for more than 10 minutes, Lin Ruoxi felt a little tired. She slowed down, put her hands on her waist, and began to walk slowly. Lin Ruoxi felt that today's run was particularly tiring. It was as if there was a stone pressing on her heart, making it hard for her to breathe. The scene of Yang Cheng leaving her the night before yesterday kept appearing in her mind. What was even more infuriating was that Yang Cheng's attitude when apologizing to her was so casual. She couldn't feel any sincerity at all. Damn Yang Cheng, stinky Yang Cheng, calling me to exercise all day long, but only caring about teaching Qiangwei martial arts early in the morning. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Lin Ruoxi muttered to herself. The more she thought about it, the more furious she became. At this moment, a hand suddenly reached out in front of her, holding a bottle of mineral water. What are you cursing about? How could I only care about Qiangwei? I only went there 2 or 3 times. Hearing the familiar voice of a man, Lin Ruoxi was surprised at first. She turned her head and saw that it was Yang Cheng who had come to her side. Yang Cheng giggled and said, "Wife, drink some water. Look at how much you're sweating. It's so hot early in the morning." Lin Ruoxi's expression instantly turned cold. She didn't take the water and shifted her gaze to the lower half of Yang Cheng's body. He saw that Yang Cheng was actually riding a bicycle that looked a little like the one he usually used to buy groceries. It was a rustic yellow color, and he didn't know where he got it from. "How is it? This car is very cool, right?" Yang Cheng said proudly. "I went to the sports mall yesterday to buy it. That person recommended me to buy a mountain bike, and I said I want to buy a car that could carry my wife, so I bought this one. Darling Ruoxi, do you want to sit? I bought it especially for you." After saying that, Yang Cheng didn't forget to pat the metal frame behind him. Yang Cheng was telling the truth. When he bought it yesterday, he had been thinking about how to please Lin Ruoxi, but it was a pity that he hadn't been able to use it. Sit in this car? Lin Ruoxi felt that unless she was crazy. Ignoring the man, Lin Ruoxi started running again. Yang Cheng also knew that it wouldn't be so easy. He rode very slowly and kept a meter away from Lin Ruoshi. Ruoshi, I was wrong. Please be merciful and forgive me this time. Although I know there have been several times before, the situation is different after all. At worst, I will take you with me next time no matter how urgent it is. I will never leave you alone. How about it? Lin Ruoshi didn't seem to hear anything and continued to run in an orderly manner. Yang Chen didn't give up and continued to smile. Honey, if you don't forgive me, I'm going to start screaming. Lin Ruoshi felt strange. Scream? What? At this time, the appearance of Yang Cheng had attracted the attention of many residents who were exercising by the roadside. Everyone was curious about what this young man was doing riding a lousy bicycle. Even if he wanted to chase after a beautiful woman, he shouldn't be so poor. Lin Ruoshi stared at Yang Cheng coldly. The meaning was obvious. Don't mess around. Yang Cheng looked pitiful. Ruoshi, don't be angry. I can kneel down now if you want. Don't ignore me like this. Lin Ruoshi turned her head away. She was a little happy in her heart. Yang Cheng had never been soft in front of her. Even if he wanted to please her, he would not show his weak side. Suddenly, she felt that the man's pleading expression was very interesting. Actually, it was impossible for her to be angry at Yang Cheng for this matter. After more than a day, her anger had actually subsided a little. The main thing was that she couldn't accept Yang Chen's apologetic attitude. She couldn't help but feel that what she had suffered was not worth it. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi was still unwilling to reply, Yang Cheng pursed his lips and said, My wife, if you're still like this, I can only be completely shameless. When Lin Ruoshi heard this, she felt that something was going to happen. Before she could think about it, Yang Cheng's deafening shout came from beside her ears. Lin Ruoshi's wife. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Yang Cheng's loud shout directly penetrated the forest, traversing at least 100 meters and even echoing. For a moment, a large number of men, women, old and young looked at each other in dismay. Lin Ruoshi was instantly stunned. What was going on? However, Yang Cheng was clearly not done yet. He continued to shout at the top of his lungs, Wife, I'm a pig. Without waiting for Yang Cheng to shout, Lin Ruoshi had already covered Yang Cheng's mouth with one hand. The woman was both angry and amused. Her face flushed red as she scolded. Do you have any shame? How can you shout such words in such a place? Yang Cheng laughed foolishly as he grabbed Lin Ruoshi's hand. He didn't forget to kiss her palm and said with a chuckle, As long as Ruoshi darling isn't angry with me, why would I need face? Lin Ruoshi sighed weakly. I really admire you. You're so thick-skinned to this extent. The surrounding young and old men were all pointing and laughing at the couple. It was obvious that they were all discussing. Lin Ruoshi's face was bright red. She wished that she could find a forest to hide in. Yang Cheng grabbed the woman's hand and said earnestly, It doesn't matter what you say to me. Ruoshi, I really know that I was wrong. If you ignore me, I won't be in the mood to do anything else. I promise that something like this won't happen again. Don't lower yourself to my level. Lin Ruoshi struggled to break free from his hand and stammered. Just say it. Why are you grabbing my hand? I'm not going to lower myself to your level. So, my wife, you forgiven me? Yang Cheng's face was filled with joy. Lin Ruoshi sighed. Already so shameless, how can I be angry at you? However, if you dare to leave me alone in front of others again, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Yang Cheng's entire body trembled. Looking at Lin Ruoshi's cold eyes, he felt that this was not a joke. Shan Shan laughed. Ruoshi, don't make it sound so scary. I definitely won't. I won't, Lin Ruoshi snorted softly. She wanted to continue running, but she found that everyone was looking at her. She was a little embarrassed, so she turned around and was about to go back. Yang Cheng hurriedly followed her. He took out the MP3 player and connected headphones from his pocket and said, Ruoshi, try this. I bought it for you. Wear it on your arm. In the future, it'll be easier to listen to music when you run in the morning. Although Lin Ruoshi was not very interested in music, seeing that Yang Cheng kept talking about it, she reluctantly reached out and let Yang Cheng put on her. Yang Cheng was attentive as if he was serving his master. However, He was in a good mood after being forgiven by his wife, so he did everything happily. Lin Ruoshi plugged in the headphones, turned on the player, and listened to it. Yang Chung laughed. "Wife, sit on my bicycle. I'll take you back." Lin Ruoshi seemed to not hear it. She just listened to the music. Yang Chung took off the woman's headphones and said, "Isn't the sound a little loud? Can't you hear it? I say I'll take you back. You have to let me buy a bicycle to use once. Once is enough." Lin Ruoshi felt that the man in front of her was like a child who found a fun toy and wanted her to play with him. Looking at Yang Cheng's expectant eyes, she couldn't bear to refuse, so she nodded and continued to plug in the headphones. Chapter 852. Speaking of which, because President Lin was almost an idiot when it came to music and sports, it was the first time in her life that President Lin used an MP3 player to listen to music. It was a little novel. Yang Chung saw that Lin Ruoshi agreed, and he was even more enthusiastic. The method that he carefully designed to repair the relationship finally worked. When Lin Ruoshi sat on the bike, Yang Chung happily pedaled the bike in the direction of his home. The morning breeze blew, and the two people on the bike were a little relaxed. Yang Chung glanced back and saw that Lin Ruoshi was still listening to the song, but her hand were placed on the back seat. He couldn't help but say, "Ruoshi, you have to hold my waist with both hands. This is very dangerous." However, it seemed that the volume of the MP3 player was indeed a bit loud. Lin Ruoshi didn't respond. She just nodded according to the rhythm. Yang Cheng's mouth showed a trace of smirk. Suddenly, he accelerated the speed of the bike. When the bike sped up for a while, Yang Chun immediately braked. This way, because of inertia, Lin Ruoshi couldn't sit properly. The moment her body swayed, she subconsciously hugged Yang Cheng's waist. Because she only wore a loose cotton t-shirt, when Lin Ruoshi leaned close to Yang Cheng's back, the softness of her chest also touched the man's body. Yang Cheng's body didn't look very strong, but when she really felt it with her hands, she found that the muscles under the skin were particularly smooth and solid, like a fine work of art. Lin Ruoshi immediately realized that Yang Chung was deliberately playing tricks on her. But when she hugged him, she felt the man's hot body temperature and strong waist muscles. The strong masculine scent made her a little reluctant to let go. It seemed like a strong temptation, so Lin Ruoshi shyly and nervously accepted this situation. Since he's my husband, I'll just hug him." Lin Ruoshi hypnotized herself. However, Lin Ruoshi also guessed that Yang Chung deliberately let her hug him like this. She couldn't let him be too proud, so she took off her headphones and planned to scold Yang Chung. Meanwhile, Yang Cheng's plan had succeeded, and he was elated. He experienced the wonderful touch of the woman on his back, and it felt like he was sitting on top of the clouds. But surprisingly, Yang Chung didn't have any evil thoughts. He was a little absent-minded when he thought that the person he was carrying was actually his wife, who he had spent more than a year with, riding the breeze on a bicycle and returning to the villa by the mountain from the quiet cement road. That was their shared home. Their families were waiting to have breakfast together, go to work together, and get off work together. Such a gentle scene was something he had never imagined in the past 10 years. There had never been a woman who could make his heart feel so peaceful. Even the woman from before had never given it to him. Involuntarily, Yang Chung murmured, "Thank you." Lin Ruoshi had just taken off her headphones when she heard these 3 words. She was a little dazed, but she immediately realized that it was for her to hear. "Lin Ruoshi, do you know? I met all kinds of women since I was a teenager. To me, when I first met you, you were just one of the more outstanding women in this group of countless women. If it wasn't for the fact that your temperament was too similar to that person's, I wouldn't even care about your life or death, much less marry you. If you want to talk about other things, you're really terrible. You're cold all day long, and it's rare for you to smile. Even if you do smile, it's for other people and other things. You're clumsy when doing housework. Even if the food you cook isn't delicious, you have to pretend that it's delicious or else you'll get angry. Other than working all day, all you do is watch Korean dramas and ignore me, your husband. You obviously don't know how to put on makeup, but you have to act like you don't need it at all. You don't know how to act coquettishly, but you can scare people to death when you act coquettishly. She can sing a song out of tune at the first word. dance with you at every step, eat glutinous rice balls like eating golden apples, and still worry that someone will snatch them from you. Yet, such a woman, when she does things, she's so scheming that even I feel afraid. After being together for more than a year, I still can't guess what you're thinking. It seems that other than looking better than other women, there's really no reason for me to find you as my wife. It doesn't save me any worry or effort. No matter how I look at it, other women are more considerate and gentle. If I want to marry someone like that, Yang Chung rambled on, as if he was mocking himself. Occasionally, he would even laugh foolishly. Lin Roashi sat at the back, gritting her teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. Her eyes were filled with round teardrops that almost rolled down her cheeks. She was filled with grievances, but she didn't know what to say. Am I really that bad? Besides, how could I not know how to put on makeup? I really don't need it. Yang Chung laughed for a while, then continued to sigh. But it's a woman like you who is so muddle-headed and domineeringly tied my past life into a dead knot. Then you drag me to walk on a new path, regardless of whether it was a pond or a swamp. You insisted on dragging me to jump together. Speaking of which, I'm really stupid, and I really followed you. I don't know what happened, but it's like I've been poisoned by Lin Ruashi, and I can't extricate myself. Wife, in the future, you should be like this, tightly cling to my back and hug me. I know I always make you sad, but even if you don't feel like looking at me, every time you turn around, I'm definitely behind you. Thank you for giving me a second feeling of being alive. Sitting at the back of the car, Lin Ruashi, who listened quietly, still couldn't help but shed tears. Letting go of a hand to wipe the corner of her eyes, Lin Ruashi muttered, "You know I'm important, but you still make me angry, Humph." Yang Cheng's nerves tensed up, his hand trembled, and the car suddenly shook. "Aya, what are you doing?" Lin Ruashi hurriedly grabbed onto Yang Chung so that she wouldn't fall. Yang Chung hurriedly braked and turned his head stiffly. His face was pale, and he wanted to cry, but had no tears as he said, "Ruashi, didn't you say you couldn't hear?" Lin Ruashi resisted the urge to laugh, picked up the headphones that had been taken off, shook them, and said, "The downloaded song isn't good." The corner of Yang Cheng's mouth twitched. Then you, where did you start hearing it?" Lin Ruashi said indifferently. "Anyway, I've heard it. What cold, clumsy, not gentle, childish. So you know me so well." Yang Chung felt like his liver was about to break into pieces and hurriedly explained in all seriousness. "Darling Ruashi, my wife, all the bad things I said just now were actually fake. I just made it up. You just need to listen to me say good things. The conclusion is good." Lin Ruashi's pretty face turned cold and said, "What are you talking about? Hurry up and ride. You're not going home?" Yang Chung swallowed his saliva and hurriedly nodded in agreement. Once again riding on the road, Yang Cheng's face was even more bitter than a bitter gourd. How could he make such a mistake? Lin Ruashi, on the other hand, had a smile on her face as she looked at the man who was pedaling from behind. She took a deep breath and felt that the air was especially fresh. Opening her arms, this time, the woman took the initiative to hug the man. Yang Cheng's body stiffened. After a while, he relaxed and exhaled. A trace of warmth flashed through his eyes. When the two of them were about to reach home, they suddenly saw from afar that outside the villa, other than Lin Ruashi's Bentley and Yang Cheng's BMW X6, there was suddenly an Audi A8 and a Mercedes-Benz SL550. Yang Chung frowned. Why were there people visiting so early in the morning? Other than the Yuan couple, it didn't seem like anyone else would come to his house. When they got closer, Lin Ruashi also noticed that there was someone there. She looked at the car and asked doubtfully, "Hubby, this X6 is yours, right? I saw it when I went out today." Yang Chung nodded. "These two should belong to someone else. Do you know them?" Lin Ruashi shook her head, obviously full of doubts, but she immediately asked, "Where's your M3? If you want to change cars, I have a better one. Why are you still driving a BMW?" Yang Chung shrugged. "I snatched this car from someone else. The M3 was blown up. Oh, I forgot to tell you the night before yesterday when I went to pick up Lu Mingho." Hearing Yang Chung say such things so casually, Lin Ruashi frowned slightly and complained, Don't act like it's only natural. Can't you make me worry a few times less? I know you're amazing, but your car was blown up. It must have been very intense. You only know how to go out and act ruthlessly all day long. You don't even care about how worried your family is. Yang Chung smiled awkwardly and was about to apologize to Lin Ruashi when the door of the villa opened. Mother Wang walked out and greeted cautiously. "Young master, miss, we have guests. Come in quickly." Chapter 853. Lin Ruashi asked, "Mother Wang, who's here?" Mother Wang said awkwardly, "They said they're from Zhonghai City's government and a foreigner. They said they're waiting for you and miss to talk business." Yang Chung and Lin Ruashi looked at each other and nodded. They walked into the house together. In the living room, the first middle-aged man they saw sitting on the sofa was the Zhonghai Municipal Party Secretary, Fang Zhongping, who was also Tong Tong's father. Ever since Yang Chung and Yang Chung talked about Tang, one outside the nursing home, they hadn't had any contact with Yang Chung since then. Yang Chung and Lin Ruashi were puzzled by the sudden visit. Fang Zhongping only brought 2 bodyguards and an assistant with him. The other person sitting on the sofa was an unfamiliar Caucasian man. He was 2 meters tall, but he looked refined. He had a head of dark blonde curls and charming green eyes. Although it was summer, he wore a simple pink shirt and a white suit. Mother Wang had already poured tea for them and was waiting leisurely. Seeing Yang Chung and Lin Ruashi enter the house, Fang Zhongping and the Caucasian man stood up. "You're back. Haha, I haven't seen you for a while. It's been a while. Please don't treat me like an outsider." Fang Zhongping already knew Yang Cheng's background, so he was very polite to them. Lin Ruashi was surprised to see the Caucasian man. "Mr. Maxim, why are you here?" Lin Ruashi asked in English. Yang Chung frowned. Maxim? He had never heard of him. "Ruashi, do you know him?" Maxim bowed elegantly. "Nice to meet you. I'm Maxim from Russia's Klyachevsky family. It's my honor to visit you too. I just met General Lin at the International Trade Conference yesterday." Yang Chung remembered that Lin Ruashi had a meeting yesterday and didn't come home for dinner. Hearing the Klyachevsky family's name, Yang Chung felt it was familiar, but he couldn't remember where it came from. Fang Zhongping said, "Mr. Maxim hopes to visit you personally to discuss an important project. Because this project involves Xia and Russia's diplomatic relations, the central government has asked me to be the middleman to introduce Maxim to you two." Yang Chung chuckled. "Isn't it a bit too much to discuss a project that can affect our diplomatic relations?" "Not at all," Fang Zhongping said with a smile. "Because if we want this project to go through, the most important factor is the attitude of you two." At this point, everyone sat down and planned to discuss in detail. Mother Wang and Gua Shuehua both went upstairs and didn't listen to the conversation. Maxim introduced himself humbly and told them about the Klyachevsky family's business in Russia. He also told them how much he admired Lin Ruashi's international administrative skills. As for what he said to Yang Chung, he only said one sentence. "I've heard a lot about you." Yang Chung was sure that Maxim knew his real background, or else he wouldn't have said something like that. Fang Zhongping continued, "You guys might not know this, but Mr. Maxim's Klyachevsky family is an important force in Russia's United Russia Party. A large portion of the funds for the current president came from their family. In Russia, the Klyachevsky family owns a stake in almost half of the nuclear, oil, and natural gas industries. However, the Klyachevsky family has never participated in international affairs and rarely shows up in public." Lin Ruashi was also surprised. It was obvious that she didn't know that this handsome man had such a powerful background during the meeting yesterday. Russia is a big energy country, and the big family that controls the world's most precious energy. It seems that any piece of meat from them can be greasy to death for other multinational companies. Coupled with a capitalist country, such an oligarch family indeed had the ability to make decisions that could affect diplomatic relations. Mr. Maxim didn't mention anything about cooperation with Yulei in yesterday's meeting. "Why are you here today?" Lin Ruashi asked curiously. Women were always more enthusiastic when it came to business. Maxim smiled shyly. "It's like this, General Lin, because the business I'm talking about involves my background, and it's not suitable to be made public. A trace of surprise flashed in Lin Ruashi's eyes, and she waited for him to continue. Maxim took a sip of hot tea and said in a refined manner, "I hope that Yulei International can sever the cooperation agreement with Princess Jane." As soon as he said that, not only Lin Ruashi, but also Yang Cheng's hands trembled unconsciously. Maxim continued, "Actually, my main purpose of coming to Zhonghai this time is for Jane. To be honest, Jane is my fiancée. The British royal family, the Rothschild family, and the Klyachevsky family have agreed on this marriage. But because Princess Jane has some misunderstandings about me, she suddenly signed the cooperation agreement with Yulei and came to Zhonghai to escape our marriage. This is a disgrace to our family and the Welsh royal family. I have to stop my fiancée and bring her back to Russia to complete the wedding." Yang Cheng looked calm, but he was upset deep down. He didn't ask Catherine which family she had chosen for Jane, but he didn't expect it to be a Russian oligarch. If the Klyachevsky family really controlled a large amount of nuclear energy and oil, it would be understandable. After all, in this world, the Rothschild family valued resources more than money. Moreover, the Klyachevsky family was the driving force behind the ruling party in Russia. Lin Ruashi had just found out that Jane had come to Zhonghai to escape her marriage, and the other party had a terrifying background. Although it was a negotiation, it was actually a forced release. Lin Ruashi's mind raced. If the first option was to let Jane go, it would be a huge loss for Yulei, not to mention the technical research and development issues. At the same time, it would also show her weakness, which didn't match her stubborn personality. However, the other party's strength was on a completely different level from hers. As the decision-maker, Lin Ruashi wouldn't be so impulsive. However, if she really let Jane go, the Klyachevsky family would give Yulei generous compensation to make up for the suspended contract. It might be a great help in opening up the Eastern European market. The other option was not to let Jane go, but if she did that, it would be the same as fighting to the death with them. It wasn't that there weren't any benefits. Jane would definitely appreciate her persistence, and it would be very helpful to Yulei's product development. But at the same time, the pressure from Russia and Huasia's government wasn't something that a small businessman like her could bear. Lin Ruashi silently turned her head and looked at Yang Cheng, who was silent. If she chose not to let Jane go, the only one who could help her was Yang Cheng. But did she really have to fight them head-on just to save her face? Was it a wise choice to keep Jane in Zhonghai? Lin Ruashi was worried that if Jane stayed in Zhonghai, she would have more relations with Yang Cheng sooner or later. After all, she was a woman who grew up with Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng gradually noticed that Lin Ruashi was looking at him, so he turned his head and smiled. "What do you think?" Lin Ruashi hesitated for a while and asked, "Mr. Maxim, let's talk about the conditions first. If I really agree to terminate the contract, not only will Yulei have to pay the 1 billion yuan penalty, but the other losses will also be huge. What do you plan to use to make up for it?" At this time, Lin Ruashi still intended to use a calm business mind to make a judgment first. Maxim had expected it. He raised 3 fingers and said, "First, Yulei's European branch will obtain direct sales channels in Eastern Europe. I know that General Lin has been worried about this. Second, we will send the world's most authoritative experts to help Yulei develop it. Although it won't be as fast as Princess Jane, we will be able to produce results in at least 2 years. Third, in addition to paying the penalty in full, we promise to give Yulei priority in the supply of raw materials in the offshore oil exploitation in the border waters in cooperation with Huaxia." When he said the first condition, Lin Ruashi was tempted. This kind of barrier formed by the country's own commercial protection was difficult to be broken by the strength of a company. But Maxim dared to make a guarantee casually. When he said the second and third conditions, it felt like a pie had fallen from the sky. Priority supply of raw materials? Wouldn't that reduce Yulei's cost to the extent of several times? That terrifying profit was enough to double the speed of development. Lin Ruashi knew that she didn't lack money, but she was born to do business, so it was hard for her to refuse such a good deal. Moreover, Jane's departure was actually a good thing for her family. Maxim was confident. After he finished speaking, He quietly drank his tea and waited for Lin Ruoshi's reply. Fang Zhongping tried to persuade him. General Lin, the Klyachevsky family's conditions are definitely generous and sincere. The central government also hopes that Yulei International, as a leading enterprise in Zhonghai, can reach an agreement as soon as possible for the sake of friendship between the two countries. As for Princess Jane, the British royal family of Wales has already sent a friendly message. They won't blame Yulei for breaking the contract. Lin Ruoshi took a deep breath and pursed her thin lips. She didn't want to look at Yang Cheng's expression. She knew that she shouldn't refuse such an offer. If the conditions are true, I can't agree, no. Before Lin Ruoshi could finish, Yang Cheng suddenly interrupted her with a cold voice. Yang Cheng's expression was slightly solemn. His two words stunned everyone in the room. Lin Ruoshi's pretty face turned pale. Yang Cheng's refusal wasn't only a rejection of her decision, but it also contained other meanings. Maxim and Fang Zhongping's smiles disappeared as they looked at Yang Cheng in silence. This deal must be approved by Jane herself. If she doesn't want to go to Russia and marry you, no one can take her away. Yang Cheng raised his head and said word by word. Maxim grinned. Mr. Yang Cheng, I know where you come from. I also know that you have the strength that my family, even the Rothschild family, is afraid of. But this doesn't mean that you can control the world's political situation and national relations at will. You are a powerful person, but you are not truly invincible. You are not the ruler of this world yet. Your rash decision will bring unnecessary conflicts between Huaxia and Russia, England, and other major families. Chapter 854. Maxim's face became colder and colder. Although he maintained his elegant demeanor, one could feel the piercing meaning in it. Yang Cheng sneered, rubbed his fingers, and said, Are you threatening me? Maxim shook his head arrogantly. I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling the truth. As far as I know, Mr. Yang is a descendant of the Yang family in Yanjing. Shouldn't you ask the head of the Yang family for his opinion and make some appropriate efforts for the peace on the border between Huaxia and Russia? You seem to have misunderstood something. Yang Cheng's face gradually became a little gloomy. If I really want to do something, even if it causes a world war, it can't stop me. Maxim had a "so that's how it is" expression on his face. He chuckled and stood up from his seat. He straightened his suit jacket and said, Since Mr. Yang is so determined, then I will let our Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs formally negotiate. This matter will not be so easy to deal with when it comes to the international community. And it doesn't seem to be a good thing for Princess Jane's reputation. Fang Zhongping's face was anxious. Even if the VIP he received this time couldn't be too perfect, he couldn't let the situation become an international dispute. Right? Yang Cheng, what are you doing? Let's talk about it. Yang Cheng lowered his eyes, as if he didn't hear anything. Lin Ruoshi clenched her teeth and wanted to say something, but she, who had been with him for a long time, could feel that Yang Cheng was like a time bomb that could explode at any time. She didn't dare to speak casually. Maxim walked to the door and didn't forget to look back with a cool smile. By the way, General Lin, as far as I know, Yulei International should be a company that you absolutely control. Do you have to get your husband's consent for such a lucrative deal? This is contrary to the identity of an outstanding, independent, and self-reliant female entrepreneur in my eyes. It's very unwise. After that, Maxim shook his finger and walked out of the door with a laugh. At this moment, Yang Cheng moved. It was like a lightning dragon. Yang Cheng suddenly rushed out of the hall and blocked Maxim's way. Before Maxim could retract the smile on his face, he was suddenly frightened. Maxim was stunned because Yang Cheng's aura was completely different from before. He was like a bloodthirsty beast that had opened its bloody mouth and was about to swallow him whole in the next second. He was a head taller than Yang Cheng, but Maxim didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. Maxim instinctively took a step back, trying to avoid it. However, one of Yang Cheng's hands was holding Maxim's neck tightly. A muffled sound came from Maxim's throat. He tried his best to dodge, but was caught and brought back to Yang Cheng. Don't think too highly of yourself. I don't even want to play with you. Yang Cheng's voice was like the grinding of gears, completely emotionless. After that, One of Yang Cheng's hands went to Maxim's abdomen. Pooh! The cruel sound made Fang Zhongping and Lin Ruoxi, who had followed them to the door, freeze on the spot. Yang Cheng's hand went through Maxim's abdomen and came out from his back. His hand was full of flesh and organs, and he didn't forget to twist it in his abdomen. Some of the man's intestines and spine were exposed to the air. His white suit was dyed red in the blink of an eye. Maxim's eyes turned white, and he screamed hoarsely in pain. It was worse than death. After this attack, Yang Cheng threw Maxim's body onto the grass outside the door, and it rolled for 7 to 8 meters. Waving the blood off his hand, Yang Cheng glanced at Fang Zhongping, whose legs were already trembling, and said, "Report what happened. Even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up." Lin Ruoxi couldn't help but turn around and retch. She didn't care about the deal at all. Although it wasn't the first time she saw Yang Cheng kill someone, she still felt it was too cruel. Fang Zhongping was about to say something, but his expression froze, as if he had seen something strange. Yang Cheng had also noticed it. He turned around and looked at Maxim, who had been thrown onto the grass. Something strange had happened. The wound on Maxim's abdomen was rapidly healed in a few seconds. Not only was his skin and muscles healed, but even his internal organs seemed to be intact. Some of his internal organs were directly removed from his body, and his internal organs continued to function. Maxim panted heavily and stood up from the ground. His eyes were bloodshot, and his 2 fangs were especially eye-catching. As expected of Pluto, the toughness of his body is unbelievable. Maxim laughed evilly. Seeing the white man's terrifying recovery ability and the 2 sharp fangs that were different from those of vampires, a thought suddenly flashed through Yang Cheng's mind. Yes, I remember now. Werewolves, descendants of the White Wolf King. The Klyachevsky family is the royal werewolf family. You're a werewolf? Yang Cheng said in surprise. Maxim laughed maniacally. So what if I am? This isn't the Middle Ages anymore. Our Klyachevsky family, starting from Queen Catherine II, has assisted the successive leaders of Russia. We are the kings of Eastern Europe. This isn't the era of cold weapons anymore. In wars between countries, the threat of nuclear weapons is far more important than individual soldiers. What you did to me today will make Huaxia suffer. Then Maxim stomped his feet and turned into a shadow. After a few leaps, he disappeared from the scene without a trace. Although Yang Cheng could easily catch up with him, he didn't choose to capture him. The werewolf race had been able to contend with the blood kindred for thousands of years, not only because of their powerful physical bodies, which even the blood kindred were jealous of, but also because of their primitive, wild nature. Their regenerative abilities were also extremely abnormal. Unless their hearts were completely shattered, the werewolves with the bloodline of the Wolf King would be able to revive even if their heads were smashed. Moreover, werewolves weren't afraid of sunlight and had a strong reproductive ability. Even the vampires didn't dare to fight them head-on. No one could do anything to the other, which was why the werewolves were different from other dark creatures in the Dark Parliament after the Thousand-Year War. They didn't respect the Dark Parliament that was controlled by the vampires. Of course, it wasn't that Yang Cheng couldn't kill him. It was just that killing Maxim wouldn't affect the overall situation. The key was how to deal with the next problem. As an ordinary person, Fang Zhongping couldn't handle everything that had happened. He sat on the ground with a blank look in his eyes. Yang Cheng walked over and said, "Don't worry. You can't be blamed for this kind of thing. Just say what you need to say." Fang Zhongping was stunned for a while before he stood up. He shook his head at Yang Cheng and sighed. He left with his bodyguards. He had to inform his superiors immediately. Yang Cheng walked into the kitchen and washed the blood off his hands before returning to the living room. Lin Ruoxi was already sitting on the sofa. There was no emotion on her cold and elegant face. She seemed to be in a trance. Yang Cheng sat down helplessly and said, "You saw it too. That person isn't an ordinary person. Although I don't know why Jane's family arranged for her to marry a werewolf. As a friend, I shouldn't let such a thing happen." Lin Ruoxi turned her head and sneered. "Is that really what you think?" Yang Cheng was silent, not knowing how to answer. Lin Ruoxi smiled bitterly. "I knew it. I knew you wouldn't let Jane go to another man when you rejected the deal I agreed to. Do you know how cruel it is to do this in front of me? I'm sorry, Yang Chung said weakly. I know you won't forgive me no matter what I say. But I promised Jane that if she doesn't want to, no one can take her away. At this time, Guo Shihuahua and Mother Wang, who had not come down from upstairs, heard that there was no movement downstairs, so they came down. Both of them were a little surprised to see the blood at the door. When they saw Yang Chung and his wife sitting on the sofa, the atmosphere was heavy. The two elders looked at each other at the same time, full of worry. Just as Guo Shihuahua was about to go forward and ask what happened, the sound of a car came from outside the door. Because the door was open, Guo Shihuahua saw who it was at a glance. She said with some surprise, "Hey, isn't that Miss Jane? Why is it so lively this morning? Why is she here?" Chapter 855. Jane, who was still wearing the white lab coat, seemed to have just run out of the lab and directly drove to the villa. When she walked into the house, Jane's gaze was complicated as she looked at Lin Ruoshi on the sofa. Then, she smiled at Guo Shihuahua and Mother Wang in a friendly manner. Lin Ruoshi wiped the corner of her eyes and stood up to greet Jane. "Why are you here?" Yang Chung stood up and asked in a relaxed manner. Jane took out a small medicine bottle from her pocket and shook it. Inside was a strange-looking purple medicine. "Here, the antidote. I was afraid that someone might die if I delivered it too late, so I came to get it for you. Just let that kid drink it," Jane said as she tossed the medicine bottle to Yang Chung. Yang Chung caught it and didn't look at it much. He put it in his pocket and asked curiously, "That's it?" Jane heaved a sigh of relief and brushed her amber bangs. "This is the Nicene Laboratory's Praise of Mary. It's a genetic weapon that officially entered the experimental stage at the beginning of this year. My students in the laboratory asked me some questions about biochemical synthesis through an email. After I took a look at it, I advised them not to develop it. This thing might be destructive to humans, but it seems that they still went ahead with it." Lin Ruoshi and the others couldn't understand the conversation between Jane and Yang Chung, so they didn't interrupt. Yang Chung frowned. "Nicene Laboratory? What's that?" Jane explained. "The name comes from a Nicene Creed, which is a Christian scripture that the Orthodox Church is ashamed of. However, this laboratory was established by the Russian Orthodox Church's believers and scholars. Their goal is to use an extraordinary method to redeem humanity's original sin. You can say that they are a group of theological fanatics. Because the Eastern Orthodox Church gave great respect to the Virgin Mary, this weapon, which combined the crystallization of their many years of research, was named Praise of Mary. It was a genetic virus that could be transmitted through the air or through human secretions and blood. Those who have been hit by this type of genetic weapon, if they don't have any medicine or antidote to alleviate the effects, will first start to become frenzied and bloodthirsty after 3 days. The collapse of the brain's nerves will cause the person to only know how to harm the surrounding life forms. Then, in a frenzied overdraft, the internal organs will gradually fester and die. Yang Chung said in a low voice, "Why would such a perverted thing appear in Huaxia?" "I also want to know the answer to this question." Jane curled her lips and said, "If I hadn't seen their synthesis process before and seen and deliberated the entire research and development process, even with my ability, I wouldn't be able to decipher this virus without a month. That kid is too lucky to have you come looking for me." Yang Chung thought for a moment and asked, "Jane, the Nicosia laboratory is in Russia, right? Who are their sponsors?" Jane shook her head. "How would I know such a secret? You should ask your friend Makedon. His most sad should be able to find out. I believe that without an annual investment of over £3 billion, it's impossible to develop such a weapon. It's definitely not an ordinary investor. By the way, the Russian government won't be involved either. The terror of this weapon isn't something I can describe with words. It's an anti-human experiment. All right, I'll get Makedon to look into it later." Yang Chung vaguely felt that this thing was related to the blonde Russian woman and Maxim from the Klyachevsky family. But without any evidence, he could only make a guess. Yang Chung couldn't help but find it funny. "Jane, why would your student join such an organization? As his teacher, can't you do something about it?" Jane smiled brightly. "Don't you have a saying in Huaxia Education doesn't discriminate. I'm a teacher, not a judge. As long as my student is sincere in learning and respectful enough, then I'll definitely teach him. As for whether he becomes a hero or a coward, good or bad, it's none of my business. Aren't you afraid that someone will become a traitor after learning it? Jane blinked. Do you know, Yang Chung, I actually quite admire your Huaxia's Yanbuan. Unfortunately, I heard that he's missing now. In this world, if there's anyone who can make me interested in scientific research again, it's him. The others, my students, are no challenge at all. Yang Chung felt that this woman wasn't cute at all when she talked about her scientific achievements. Watching Yang Chung and Jane talking for so long, Lin Ruoshi didn't really understand. She only felt that she couldn't get a word in when they were talking. It was as if Jane was the woman that Yang Chung could chat with the most. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but feel a little bitter, a little sour, and a little sense of crisis. Jane suddenly walked in front of Lin Ruoshi and lowered her head in embarrassment. Miss Lin, I'm very sorry. Lin Ruoshi was startled. She didn't know why Jane suddenly said that. Jane raised her head and said sadly, I saw the Mercedes-Benz outside. That man came to me yesterday. I know it's his car. Since he came here, the car didn't drive away, and there was blood at the door. I can guess that Yang Ching beat him away to fulfill his promise to me, right? Jane didn't need to think much to come up with this kind of logical reasoning. Lin Ruoshi didn't expect that Jane knew everything that happened without being there. Originally, if Jane didn't say this kind of thing, Lin Ruoshi would still complain about Jane. But at this time, looking at the bitterness in Jane's sapphire blue eyes, the woman couldn't help but soften her heart. Just now, Lin Ruoshi also saw that Maxim wasn't human. So when she thought that Jane was going to marry such a monster because of the pressure from her family, she couldn't help but feel pity. Jane forced a smile. I know that Yang Cheng's actions will make you misunderstand a lot of things. But don't worry, Miss Lin, I have no intention of breaking up your relationship. When I was young, Yang Cheng saved my mother and my life. As for him, I feel like he's my benefactor. If Miss Lin can't tolerate me staying in Zhonghai, just tell me. I won't have any complaints. As for the new material development project of Yulei, I can help your company with it elsewhere. I just hope that you and your wife can be happy. Don't become too suspicious and quarrel because of me running away from the marriage. Enough. Yang Chung interrupted and said seriously, Jane, there's nothing going on between me and Ruoshi. Don't think too much. Since you know all this, it means that you already know that the Klyachevsky family is a werewolf family. Damn it. Even if you're a vampire, I wouldn't be so angry. Werewolf? Do you want to marry Maxim and give birth to a freak? Is Catherine out of her mind? Why would she agree to this marriage? Jane shook her head and said with a smile, Don't blame her. In fact, this marriage is mainly the idea of the Rothschild family. The Klyachevsky family provided a generous share of the oil field and sold a large number of Russian nuclear warheads and other military equipment at a low price. Plus, I haven't had a partner to discuss marriage with, so the family doesn't want to wait any longer. My mother can't make the decision either. After all, the royal family's position in England is stabilized by the Rothschild family. Nonsense. They didn't even want to tell me about your marriage. They obviously want to do it behind my back. Looks like they thought I lost all my teeth when I wasn't in Europe for 2 years. Yang Chung said gloomily. Jane smiled casually. It's nothing. It's not over yet. Besides, it's just a formality for me to marry Maxim. It's not like I have to have children with him. Yang Chung heard this and frowned. What do you mean by that? You want to marry him? Lin Ruoshi also heard the hidden meaning in Jane's words and looked at her in surprise. Jane bit her lower lip and said, He's already chased me all the way to Zhonghai. At least he won't treat me lightly. Maybe we could try dating for a while. Looking at Jane's silly smile and words like that, Yang Chun felt like there were needles poking his heart. He was about to say something when Lin Ruoshi grabbed his hand. Lin Ruoshi tightened her grip, and Yang Chung turned his head in confusion. What's wrong, Ruoshi? Yang Chung asked. Lin Ruoshi smiled at Jane and said, That's a good idea. Mr. Maxim is very polite. Although he might be a little different from ordinary people, What's important is the intention, isn't it? Yang Qing's expression froze. He immediately understood that the woman still wanted Jane to leave Zhonghai. Jane was smart enough to know what Lin Ruoxi meant. She nodded unnaturally and said, "Yes, since there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Goodbye." After that, Jane trotted out of the villa. After a while, the sound of the car outside gradually faded away. Guo Xuehua and Mother Wang looked at the series of events and shook their heads subconsciously. They felt that these things should be left to the younger generation, so they went back to the kitchen. Lin Ruoxi let go of Yang Cheng's hand and exhaled as if she had fought a tough battle. Yang Cheng, who was in a daze for a long time, walked to the stairs lightly and planned to go upstairs without saying a word. Looking at Yang Cheng's depressed back, Lin Ruoxi felt bitter in her heart, but her eyes were firm. She said stubbornly with a trembling voice, "I didn't do anything wrong. I'm fighting for my family. There's nothing wrong with that." Yang Shen paused for a moment and nodded slightly. Then, he silently walked back upstairs. Chapter 856. Zhonghai International Hotel, in a luxurious suite. Maxim, who had changed into a new set of clothes, stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the busy city below with an enigmatic expression. A blonde woman in a sexy outfit knelt behind Maxim and said humbly, "Master, the Giant Whale Society has received 100 missiles from us and placed them at the border between Zhonghai and Su Province. They can be fired or detonated at any time. Also, that old man has started negotiating with Huaxia's navy in the East China Sea and is putting pressure on the central government." Maxim nodded. "That's to be expected. Did the old man have any other reaction to his son's death?" "He's very angry, but he's sensible enough not to do anything unnecessary." The blonde woman sneered. If Yang Cheng was here, he would have recognized her immediately. She was the one he let go on purpose, the one who used Gaoyu. "Aishapova," Maxim said. "How's Jane doing?" Aishapova replied, "Princess Jane just went to Yang Cheng's house, but she has returned to her research center. There's nothing out of the ordinary." Maxim said, "We have to keep an eye on her and be ready to kidnap her." "Master," Aishapova was puzzled. "I don't understand why Master is so insistent on marrying Princess Jane. She's not worthy of marrying into the Klyachevsky family." Maxim snorted. "What do you know? I don't mind telling you. I want to marry Jane not because of her body, but because of her wisdom. Wisdom. We've spent a lot of time and effort on this Maria's tribute. If everything goes according to plan, even the Americans won't be able to come up with the antidote within a year. The only unstable factor is Jane." Maxim said, "The person who developed this genetic weapon is Jane's student. If there's anyone who can destroy our trump card in a short time, it's Jane. So, Master wants to control that woman in our hands?" Aishapova asked in realization. "Not bad." Maxim sneered. "The reason why the Rothschild family is willing to marry Jane is that Jane has always refused to develop various anti-human weapons for them and oppose some scientific research that is not allowed in the world. They thought that even if Jane were to marry into the Klyachevsky family, she would stick to her beliefs and not develop weapons of war. But these stupid humans don't know that our great white wolf king family naturally has a way to control Jane and make her work for us." Aishapova's eyes lit up. "Is Master referring to totemic hypnosis?" "Humph," Maxim said. "It would be best if Jane follows me obediently, but if she insists on resisting, then even if it causes discord in the UK, we can't do much about it." Aishapova asked worriedly, "What about Yang Cheng? His strength is not within the scope of our calculations." Maxim said disdainfully, "Don't worry. No matter how powerful he is, he wouldn't dare to joke around with the lives of millions of civilians on both sides of Zhonghai and Su Province. If he dares to do anything to us, the people in Huaxia won't agree to it either. Don't forget that Yang Chun had another identity now. He was a descendant of a Yang clan, one of the 4 major clans. By then, his elders and the other clans would restrict his performance. Plus, we're just sending the Giant Whale Society's main force to China's mainland first. They'll take over the underground forces in Zhonghai, Yanjin, and Su Province. Compared to the hundreds of genetic bombs destroying the entire coastal area, they'll accept our conditions. By then, the richest underground world in China will be under the control of the Klyachevsky family, and the surrounding areas will also be under our control. The oil we gave to the Rothschild family is nothing compared to this. Also, thanks to the Giant Whale Society, we won't have any evidence against us, Maxim said with a smile. Aishapova was also excited. Congratulations, Master. Once this plan succeeds, our Klyachevsky family will be able to turn Southeast Asia into our treasury and reap the benefits. By then, we will be able to suppress those stinky bats who look down on us in the dark world. Maxim sneered. Bloodlings? They're already rotten and living in seclusion. They're destined to be eliminated sooner or later. We werewolves will be the rulers of the world in the future. Aishapova's eyes were filled with admiration. Suddenly, her expression froze, and she cried out, "Oh no, Master, I forgot to report something." "Speak," Maxim said casually. Aishapova trembled. Galya used a small amount of commendation of Maria on a young man in order to speed up the process of taking over the Green Dragon Society and Red Thorn Society. That young man was saved by Yang Chung. Could it be that Yang Chung brought him to Jane for treatment? What? Maxim turned around and kicked Aishapova in the chest. Aishapova was sent flying and slammed into the wall. Go. Investigate this immediately. If he really did give it to Jane, send someone to capture her and send her overseas. Mobilize all the forces you can. Don't let her have the chance to develop the antidote. Maxim roared. Aishapova spat out a mouthful of blood and crawled out of the room. On the other hand, in Yang Cheng's room. After returning to his room, Yang Cheng took some time to calm himself down. He wasn't angry about anything, nor was he dissatisfied with Lin Ruoshi's choice. Lin Ruoshi had only chosen the normal path from her point of view. After all, he was the one to blame for everything that had happened. After sorting out his thoughts, Yang Chun summoned a member of the Sea Eagles to deliver the antidote to Lu Mingho, just in case something happened to him later. After that, Yang Chun contacted Maekdan, who was far away in the Mediterranean Sea, and asked him to send Mossad to investigate the sponsor behind the Nisha lab. At the same time, he asked Hanya's Yamada sect to investigate the deal between the Giant Whale Society and the Klyachevsky family. After giving these orders, Yang Chung felt that he had missed out on something. It was Jane's safety. Since Maxim had chased her all the way to Zhonghai, it was only natural that he would take Jane away by force. So, Yang Chung sent 2 more members of the Sea Eagles to protect Jane in the dark. After waiting for about half an hour, Yang Chung received a reply from Maekdan. The fat, bald man looked at the information he had just received, drank some wine, and reported to the other end of the video call. Your Majesty Pluto, our people secretly found the information behind the scenes of the Nikia laboratory from the Russian KGB's intelligence system. The first founder of the lab was a mad scientist who was fired by the KGB. He was involved in the creation of anti-human genetic weapons. The Russian government was afraid that other countries would find out about it, so they fired him. But later, the Klyachevsky family saved him and protected him. The KGB thought that this wouldn't harm the country's interests. Also, the Klyachevsky family's core was the White Wolf King, so they didn't pay much attention to them. After that, the Nisha lab was built, and they recruited elites from all over the world. The core members were 2 of Princess Jane's students. So, the Klyachevsky family is the sponsor behind the scenes? Yang Chung grinned. Maekdan rubbed his stomach and burped. Yes, but because the lab is under the Klyachevsky family's jurisdiction, no one knows what they're researching. If it really is a genetic weapon, the world will be helpless in a short period of time, unless it's Jane. She might be able to develop a genetic vaccine in a short period of time, right? Yang Chung understood. Maekdan nodded. Damn it, Your Majesty Pluto, it seems like the Klyachevsky family doesn't really want a marriage alliance. They're probably worried that Princess Jane will ruin their plan. As a friend of Jane's, Maekdan was furious. Yang Chung said gloomily, You've done well. Next, you just need to find out where the Klyachevsky family's gathering points are. It's best if you can draw a map and give it to Sauron. Maekdan's eyes lit up. Your Majesty Pluto, are you going to fire? How can you leave such an interesting task to that red-headed ghost? I object, Yang Cheng said indifferently. Your men can't compare to the werewolves in terms of combat power and recovery. They'll just die if they go. But even the sea eagles won't be a match for the werewolves. The White Wolf King family is the royal family of the werewolves. Even the elites of the 13 clans of the vampires might not be able to win against them, Maekdon said unhappily. Yang Cheng chuckled. If they can't, I'll do it myself. As for the stragglers outside, let Zero's expendable independent team do it. That counts as a gift to them on behalf of Jane. Chapter 857. Hearing the name expendable, Maekdon shivered and smiled stiffly. Your Majesty Pluto, it seems that the anger in your heart has reached an astonishing level. I thought you wouldn't use too much force since you can still smile like this. Since they dare to use Jane's marriage as a plot, then they should prepare for the worst, Yang Cheng said coldly. Maekdon asked curiously, Your Majesty Pluto, what do you want to achieve in the end? Yang Cheng pondered for a moment and said, That Maxim, didn't he say that he wanted to marry Jane? If their family no longer exists, can he still marry her? At the other end of the video, Maekdon wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and nodded knowingly. 3 hours later, in the core conference room of the central government in Beijing, a round mahogany table that was neither too big nor too small looked like it had been through many years, but it was still clean and spotless. At the four corners of the round table sat 4 people: Ning Guangyao, Li Mo's Hen, Yang Gongming, and Tang Zhichen. Among the 4 of them, except for Ning Guangyao, who was in the prime of his life, the other 3 were already old men with gray hair. Among them, Yang Gongming and Tang Zhichen were the oldest. However, Ning Guangyao wasn't any weaker than anyone else on this stage. Instead, he sat on the most important seat in Chaonan's room. And behind the 4 family masters sat several backbone members of the family. Usually, these people were the protagonists of the discussion, but today, they didn't have the authority to sit here and discuss the problems they were facing. Ning Guangyao gently stroked the edge of the blue and white flower tea set. After nearly 3 minutes of silence in the meeting, he turned to look at Yang Gongming and said with a smile, Eunuch Yang, the Navy in the East Sea is under the control of Commander Yang. It's time for you to say something. Yang Gongming was expressionless and said in a flat tone, Why do we need the Navy if we let a group of bandits land? Ning Guangyao furrowed his brows and glanced at Li Mo's Hen and Tang Zhichen. Both of them lowered their brows as if they heard nothing. Ning Guangyao sighed and said, Duke Yang, I know that the Yang family is made of iron and blood, and that they are not afraid of death. However, the Giant Whale Society had obtained hundreds of genetic missiles from the Klyachevsky family. Those missiles could endanger the lives of tens of millions of civilians. Compared to such a huge loss, there's no harm in temporarily agreeing to the Giant Whale Society's request. Since they dare to use genetic weapons, they naturally have an antidote that can save them. Since it's a virus with an antidote, do you think we can't think of a way? Yang Gongming said. Ning Guangyao said, but the problem is, if we act rashly now, it could lead to an irreversible disaster. We don't have much time left. We have to be decisive. Yang Gongming closed his eyes and said, Premier Ning, I've already said what I need to say. The decision is not in my hands. If Premier Ning insists on quenching his thirst with poison, there's no other way. Ning Guangyao said, Duke Yang, I'm forced by the situation and I have no other choice. Actually, there's another reason why I invited you to this meeting. It's because of Yang Cheng. Oh, as far as I know, Yang Cheng has stopped the marriage between the Klyachevsky family and the Welsh royal family. Maxim from the Klyachevsky family wants to take Princess Jane away and hopes that Yang Cheng won't stop him. Yang Cheng might not listen to what I say, Yang Gongming said nonchalantly. Ning Guangyao frowned and was about to say something when Li Mo's Hen, who was standing at the side, suddenly spoke. Let's stop for a moment. Li Mo's Hen held his earphones and said to everyone, It's too late now. What do you mean? Li Mo's Hen smiled faintly and said, Our security bureau has just received intelligence that Zero's secret unit, Expendable, has started a bloody raid on the Klyachevsky family's stronghold in Eastern Europe. The Klyachevsky family has already started an international condemnation of our Huaxia through the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. At the same time, Yangchengsi Eagle's mercenaries have already started a fight with the Klyachevsky family's men in Zhonghai. Hearing this news, not only Ning Guangyao, but Yang Gongming and Tang Zhichen were also quite surprised. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Although they knew that Yang Cheng never played by the rules, they didn't expect him to act so quickly and without hesitation. Ning Guangyao clenched his fists and the veins on his hands bulged. He said in annoyance, "Expendable? What kind of power is that?" Li Mozhen lowered his voice and explained, "According to the intelligence, the origin of that unit has a lot to do with Princess Jane. Princess Jane has stated a long time ago that she won't develop anti-human weapons for any country. But she once developed a drug for the world's #1 assassin organization, Zero. That drug was initially used to save the lives of some severely injured assassins. But later on, the drug had side effects. Those assassins were originally on the verge of death, but after taking the drug, a batch of them successfully survived. Their bodily functions underwent a strange mutation. Whether it was strength, speed, perception, or other abilities, they all exceeded the limits of normal human training. These assassins were dragged back from the clutches of the Grim Reaper and were given the title of expendable, which means that death is a thing of the past for them. They became the most mysterious team in Zero. They appeared the least, but they were also the strongest team. Bang! Ning Guangyao slammed his fist on the table and said angrily, "The more it is like this, the worse the situation is. If Russia becomes enemies with us, it means that we will lose an ally against the U.S. A lot of trade at the border will also be affected. This Yang Cheng is simply destroying the interests of our Huaxia." Yang Gongming smiled and narrowed his eyes. "Premier Ning, you are wrong. There are no allies between countries, so there's nothing to worry about." "Master Yang, what do you mean?" Yang Gongming said indifferently. "What I mean is if we have to give our country an ally, then there will only be one what?" Ning Guangyao asked. Yang Gongming straightened his back and said proudly, "Army." Tang Zhichen laughed and said, "Old Yang, you still dare to say it." Li Mozhen smiled and nodded in agreement. Yang Gongming continued, "Since they have already sent missiles to our doorstep, it is clear that they're going to fight. At this time, if we don't send warships to sink their ships and air forces to flatten their bases, then what's the point of having an army? Although that kid Yang Cheng is a little reckless, he is setting fire to the Russians' backyard. The Russians are much more anxious than us. They can't even protect themselves, so why should we care about them?" Ning Guangyao saw that the three old men were all unyielding and said unhappily, "The key now is to ensure the safety of the people. What's the use of talking about this? Are we really going to fight to the death?" Li Mozhen shook his head and said, "Hundreds of missiles entering Huaxia without anyone noticing is already the biggest joke in the world. It must be a show directed by some coastal officials. I've already sent people to investigate and found out that there are many parasites in the customs line of the Jiangsu province. Since those people have already benefited from this, why would they want to die so soon?" Ning Guangyao was taken aback and said, "Master Li, are you saying that those people in the Jiangsu province are colluding with the Giant Whale Society?" "That's right," Li Mozhen said, "colluding with the Giant Whale Society and using genetic weapons to intimidate us. Once the Giant Whale Society's naval forces are released, Zhonghai and the Jiangsu province will definitely be in chaos. In that case, just the funds allocated to them to maintain law and order would be enough for them to earn a large sum of money. The purchase of equipment for customs and inspection agencies would also be a large sum of money. Not to mention other things, this money would be enough for them to spend." Ning Guangyao was shocked. These old foxes had already planned this from the start. They had done so many investigations in secret, but they didn't tell him about it. On the surface, the four great clans seemed to be in harmony, but in the dark, they all had their own way of doing things. There were also differences in who they favored. Obviously, other than the Tang clan, who was relatively neutral, The Li clan and the Yang clan were especially close. "What do you think we should do now, Master Li?" Ning Guangyao asked seriously. Li Mozhen said, "Actually, we only need to focus on wiping out the whale society at sea. While they think they're safe, they're not on their guard. As for the missiles between Zhonghai and the Jiangsu province, they'll be fine as long as Yangcheng is there." Ning Guangyao asked, "You trust Yangcheng that much?" "Ha!" Li Mozhen laughed heartily and said, "That kid is very shrewd. Since he dared to make a move with such great fanfare, he naturally has the confidence to deal with the genetic virus. Otherwise, with so many women in Zhonghai, how could he not be anxious?" At the same time, Yangcheng was standing in the luxurious suite of the Zhonghai International Hotel. Beneath Yangcheng's feet was the body of a man whose heart had been crushed. It was Maxim. Maxim's eyes were wide open in anger. He couldn't understand why Yangcheng would kill him without any hesitation. In the corner, a blonde woman with long black hair was about to transform into a werewolf. She was Aishapova, but her heart had been pierced through by some unknown force. Yangcheng retracted his foot and said to Moland, "Clean up this place. I'm going to Russia. It's time to put an end to this farce." After weighing the pros and cons, he decided to remove the battle scenes. Otherwise, it would be a fantasy again. Chapter 858. Half a day later, when night fell, the famous lake area on the northwest coast of England was quiet and serene. Near an ancient city called Keswick that was built during the Victorian era, there was a classical British castle that had stood there since God knows when, and a few banners with complicated patterns fluttered in the wind. In the main hall in the middle of the castle, colorful crystal lamps hung on the dome, and under the simple murals, pieces of exquisitely carved art were placed in rows. On the handmade wool carpet of the Persian Gulf, on the big sofa made of agarwood that would not rot for 100 years, a man yawned and glanced at the big clock in the corner from time to time. If one did not notice the man's scarlet clothes, perhaps such a scene would not be too strange. Suddenly, the outer door of the hall was opened, and a few figures hurried in. The one in front was an old white man with silver hair but a ruddy face, wearing a gentleman's black suit and a small pocket watch hanging on his chest. And beside the old man, there was a handsome young man with blonde hair. Other than being uneasy, there was a more complicated expression on his face. When the silver-haired old man saw the man on the sofa, and then saw a big sack that was oozing scarlet liquid, which was thrown on the carpet in the middle of the hall without hesitation, the corner of his eyes couldn't help but twitch a few times. But very quickly, the old man still walked forward with a smile and said, "What a rare guest! Your Majesty Pluto, it's been many years since you came to our Rothschild as a guest." The one who was lying on the sofa for a while was Yangcheng. Yangcheng scratched his ear and said with an evil smile, "You don't seem to be very welcome. Your Majesty must be joking. There is no one in Rothschild who is not welcome," the old man said warmly. Yangcheng was not interested in dealing with this family that integrated business into their blood, so he directly pointed to the big sack on the carpet and said, "Take a look. I personally brought you a gift." The old man took a deep breath and signaled the two bodyguards behind him to step forward and open the sack. After the two men stepped forward, they held their breaths and carefully loosened the heavy sack. A particularly strong stench rushed out, even causing the two bodyguards to hold back and not vomit. Squeezed together in the sack was a bunch of wolf heads with red eyes and fangs. The faces of these wolf heads were particularly hideous, as if they saw an incomparably terrifying scene when their heads were cut off. "Wolf! Werewolf!" Yangcheng stood up, took off his shirt, and threw it on the ground. He put his hands on his waist and said, "These are all the core members of the Klyachevsky family that I killed for half a day. They are all in this sack. You could take a look." The old man's body trembled a little. "Your Majesty Pluto's body, why? Didn't you want to send Jane to the Klyachevsky clan?" Yangcheng sneered. "Now that their clan is gone, can you cancel the marriage?" The old man's footsteps were a little unstable. The blond man beside him immediately supported him and looked at Yangcheng helplessly. "Your Majesty Nether King, aren't you usually not involved in international disputes? Aren't you afraid of causing dissatisfaction from all sides by doing this? The old man tried his best to remain calm as he spoke. It's true that I don't interfere in international affairs, but I will never give up on the people around me. Yang Cheng said, Jane's life is up to her. Unless she is willing to marry, no one is allowed to have other thoughts. I don't care if you want to make money. I don't care if you want to use war to get rich, but you better not disturb my life. In the end, Yang Cheng smiled disdainfully. Dissatisfied? If anyone is dissatisfied, they can stand up. I will kill anyone who dares to oppose me. Don't talk reason with me, and don't talk about conditions. Ever since I became sensible, this world only has the law of life and death. By the way, the werewolves of the Klyachevsky family can at least resist for half a day. I wonder how many hours a human like Rothschild can resist? After hearing this, the old man couldn't help but take a step back and slowly lowered his head. Yang Chun faintly glanced at him, then said to Edward, who had been silent all this while, Edward, try to persuade the members of your clan who think they can control everything with money. Although you're considered half a friend of mine, it doesn't mean that your clan is the same. Edward smiled wryly. I thought you wouldn't do such a thing in the 2 years since you returned to Huaxia. I didn't expect you to do it again. The Russian government has entered a level 1 military alert. They are worried that you will go crazy and implicate their leaders. Yang Cheng said, Let them be. Prepare a plane for me. I'll go back to Huaxia after I take a shower. Zhonghai. Dawn had just arrived, but the sun was already shining brightly. In the summer in the south, the sun always rose early. In the western suburbs, Lin Ruashi was standing in front of her house in a light gray dress. Her hair danced in the wind, making her look like a fairy of the moon. However, it was not difficult to see the red lines in the woman's eyes. There was fatigue caused by a night of not sleeping well. Since yesterday afternoon, Yang Cheng suddenly went abroad for business. There had been no news until now. Lin Ruashi felt a little scared. Regarding Jane's matter, Yang Cheng was not angry, nor did he raise any other opinions, which made her feel worried. At this time, a white Cadillac slowly stopped on the road in front of Lin Ruashi. A woman dressed in a colorful black dress leisurely got out of the car. Behind her was a dignified middle-aged man. It was Yuan Hui and Yang Jiu. Yang Jiu saw Lin Ruashi standing at the door of the courtyard and showed a happy smile. She enthusiastically hugged Lin Ruashi. Yo, Ruashi, are you waiting for Annie? Lin Ruashi was still a little shy, but she smiled unnaturally and nodded. She had just received a call from Yang Jiu, saying that she had something to talk about, so she came out to wait when it was almost time. My dear niece-in-law is so sensible, to come out and wait for us. TSK, TSK. Ruashi, your husband is so rude. Why did he let you come out alone? Yang Jiu laughed and scolded. Lin Ruashi's eyes dimmed. He is not back yet. Yang Jiu had expected it and said with a smile, then he will be back soon. Let's go inside and talk about business when Yang Cheng comes back. Lin Ruashi wondered why Yang Jiu was so sure that Yang Cheng would be home soon, but she didn't ask much and invited the couple into the house first. Guo Shihuahua was also very happy to know that her sister and brother-in-law were coming. Although they were in Zhonghai, Yuan Hui and his wife were busy with the Yang and Yuan family's businesses in Jiangnan, so they didn't have time to meet each other. She didn't know what made them come here so early in the morning. The house was bustling early in the morning. Other than Jinxiu, who had gone out to work early in the morning, no one else could be seen. Since they hadn't eaten breakfast yet, they sat down to eat the leftover dumplings from the Dragon Boat Festival and drank porridge while chatting and laughing while waiting for Yang Chen's arrival. Jiu, you said that Yang Chen will be back soon. How did you know? Guo Shihuahua asked curiously. Yang Jiu said with a smile, Dad sent someone to inform us. We could have asked Secretary Fang Zhongping to tell Yang Cheng about it, but Fang Zhongping seemed to be frightened by Yang Cheng and didn't dare to come. So he asked us to come and talk to him. Guo Shihuahua was very concerned about her son. Don't keep us in suspense. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Did Yang Cheng get into trouble again? Yuan Hui laughed and said, Sister-in-law, if it's a bad thing, how can we have breakfast with you so leisurely? It's a good thing. Yang Cheng made a great contribution to Huaxia this time. He saved thousands of people. To be exact, Yang Cheng played the role of a matchmaker. If it wasn't for Yang Cheng, Miss Jane wouldn't have provided such a big help, Yang Jiu said. Lin Ruoshi didn't say anything until she heard the name Jane. She then asked, Andy, what did Miss Jane do? Can you tell us? When Yang Jiu heard Lin Ruoshi call her Annie, her heart felt like it had eaten honey. This was too rare for the shy Lin Ruoshi. Actually, there's nothing to hide. We're all on the same side. The government and the military have been suppressing the news, but in fact, Zhonghai and the Su province have been targeted by a batch of genetic weapons, which could cause mass casualties at any time. But now, thanks to Miss Yiling's efforts, the crisis has been averted. The central government is very grateful for Miss Jane's help. They hope that through Yang Cheng, they can invite Miss Jane to Beijing to express their gratitude. Secondly, they can discuss future cooperation, Yang Ji said. Lin Ruoshi was surprised, while Wu Shuehua and Mother Wang were scared. As soon as Yang Jiu opened her mouth, she roughly explained the situation. Before Yang Cheng left Huaxia, he asked Jane to provide the Security Bureau with the information about the antidote for Maria's tribute. Since they already had the finished product, all they had to do was to copy it. Although Maria's tribute was powerful, its biggest drawback was that it needed nearly 3 days to take effect. Under such circumstances, even if all the missiles were successfully launched, the military would be able to produce a sufficient amount of antidote within 2 days. The Giant Whale Society's amulet was rendered useless, and they were wiped out by the Jiangnan Army and Navy. Oh right, Yang Jiu added, Ruoshi, did you know that the Klyachevsky family that attended the International Trade Conference, Maxim, has been declared a crime against humanity by the Russian government? All the Klyachevsky family's businesses have been confiscated by the Russian government. This time, they used genetic weapons to threaten the Huaxia government. Luckily, Yang Cheng found out in time and asked Jane to prepare the antidote. Lin Ruoshi was stunned for a moment, but very quickly, her calm mind allowed her to analyze and understand many things. It seemed that Maxim's persistence in pursuing Jane wasn't because of his fiancée, but because of the conspiracy. Out of pure selfishness, she had asked Yang Chun to let go of Jane so that Maxim could take her away. If Yang Chun hadn't found the key, there might have been a catastrophe. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but hate herself. Why did she only think about her feelings? Why didn't she think about what kind of person he was? When did she become so narrow-minded and short-sighted? Right at this moment, the roar of a car came from the entrance of the mansion. Guo Shuehua was elated. It's Yang Cheng's car. He's finally back. Chapter 859. Yang Cheng took the plane prepared by the Rothschild family. It didn't take him many hours to get back to Zhonghai. He thought that he would be able to have breakfast when he got home, but he didn't expect to see 2 people at home. Why are you guys here? Yang Cheng asked in confusion. Guo Shuehua frowned and scolded him with a smile. Why are you calling me uncle and auntie? Yang Cheng curled his lips. I'm not used to it. Guo Shuehua wanted to pull his ears, but when she thought about how Yang Cheng hadn't had any relatives by his side for the past 20 years, she felt sad and let it go. Yuan Hui and his wife didn't mind at all. In fact, if they weren't related, Yuan Hui and his wife wouldn't have dared to face Yang Cheng like Fang Zhongping. They had received news from the Yang family that in less than half a day, Yang Cheng had slaughtered hundreds of people in the Klyachevsky family. Men, women, young and old. The couple felt a chill down their spines when they saw how relaxed Yang Cheng was. Luckily, this young man was one of them. Otherwise, they might have nightmares at night. Yang Chen noticed that Lin Ruoshi was sitting there without saying a word. She was staring at him with a weird gaze. He couldn't help but feel confused. He walked to Lin Ruoshi and asked carefully, Dear, what's wrong? Why are you staring at me in a daze? Hee, are you too happy to see me back? Lin Ruoshi couldn't see any blame in the man's eyes. It was as if she wasn't unhappy with what he and Jane had said and done. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but hate her previous choice. She lowered her head and said, It's nothing. I just didn't sleep well. Although Yang Cheng felt that there must be another reason, he didn't ask further. Instead, he said to Yang Jiu and his wife, You haven't said anything yet. Why are you here so early? Yang Jiu smiled and said, Grandpa asked us to come over. He wants to talk to you. Of course, the first thing is to praise you. You handled it well this time. Also, about Miss Yiling. Then, Yang Jiu briefly explained her future goals and looked at Yang Cheng with anticipation. Yang Cheng sat down and peeled a rice dumpling. As he bit into it, he said, That's a good idea. After losing that science geek, Yin Buin, they want Jane to help them. Even the British MI5 couldn't get Jane to develop weapons for them. Does Huaxia have any magic? I think you want to use my relationship to tie Jane to Huaxia, right? We're just passing on the message, so it's not our place to comment. But no country's government will give up the chance to get Jane, Yang Jiu said. Yang Cheng shook his head. Go and tell the old man and all those who want to get benefits from Jane. Jane will only stay in Zhonghai to do the research she likes and teach the subject she likes. She will not go to Beijing, nor will she contribute to the military. Yang Jiu smiled bitterly. Not at all? So determined? Don't make me repeat myself, Yang Cheng said. Yuan Hui stopped his wife who wanted to say something and smiled. That's enough. We're not here to persuade them. It's fine as long as the message is passed. Yang Jiu sighed and smiled. Okay, I'll pass on the message to Beijing. But, Yang Cheng, didn't you say you wanted to go back to Beijing last time? Why haven't you gone back yet? Hearing this question, Lin Ruoxi also looked at Yang Cheng curiously. Yang Cheng chewed the sticky rice and swallowed it. I'm used to getting things done one step at a time. I'll go back when I'm ready. Yang Jiu and her husband couldn't say anything else. They knew that Yang Cheng might seem easy to get along with, but there were a lot of things that no one could control. Finally, Yang Jiu sent out an invitation. Yang Cheng, Yuan Yi is holding a small celebration party for Tong Tong's admission to Zhonghai University. Your family should come too. I remember there's a girl called Jinxiu, right? She took the exam with Tang Tang. Which university did she get into? When everyone heard this, Guo Shuihua asked in surprise, The college entrance examination results are out? Yuan Hui said, It's already July. Of course, they've finished marking the exam papers. Don't you guys know that you can check by phone now? Guo Shuihua was a little embarrassed. She might be a mother of two, but her son had never participated in the exam. Thus, she had no idea about it. Lin Ruoxi was also looking forward to it. Let's check it when Jinxiu comes back. As everyone chatted, Yang Jiu did not forget to remind Yang Cheng to bring his family to the Yuan family's private banquet on time. She even insisted that everyone must be present. Since Yang Cheng couldn't resist their enthusiasm, he could only agree to it. After Yuan Hui and his wife left, Lin Ruoxi helped Mother Wang clean up the dishes and went to work. Yang Cheng immediately chased after her and grabbed Lin Ruoxi's hand. Ruoxi, what's wrong with you? Did I do something to make you unhappy? Why haven't you looked at me since I came home? Lin Ruoxi bit her lips and turned around. She said gloomily, No, you're great. It's my own problem. What's your problem? Yang Cheng was even more confused. He thought about it and said unhappily, Did someone bully you? Damn it. I've only been away for less than a day. Who's so tired of living? I'll go kill him. Lin Ruoxi raised her head and looked at Yang Cheng, who seemed to be taking things for granted. You always talk about killing people. Is it really that interesting? Yang Cheng's face turned bitter. He smiled awkwardly. I was just making an example. An example? An example? Lin Ruoxi looked at the man with mixed feelings. Do you think I can't tell? Just now. Aunt and the others looked at you with fear in their eyes. Even they, as family, are afraid of you. You went abroad this time and killed a lot of people, right? Yang Cheng was startled. He didn't expect Lin Ruoxi to be able to see through this. In fact, he had overlooked one thing. Lin Ruoxi was an expert in the business world for many years. Although she didn't talk often, her ability to read people's expressions was definitely far superior to ordinary people. I'm sorry, Yang Cheng sighed. I didn't expect this to make you unhappy. You're saying sorry again. Lin Ruoxi smiled miserably. What do you have to say sorry for? You don't have any sorry to me at all. Looking at the woman's sudden agitation, Yang Chung was a little sluggish. Lin Ruoshi suddenly covered her face helplessly with her hands, softly squatting down and sobbing. Yang Chung was at a loss for what to do. He quickly squatted down and wanted to reach out to caress the woman's sobbing shoulders, but he was afraid that it would cause even more emotional fluctuations. "Wife, don't call me." Lin Ruoshi's eyes were red and filled with tears. "I'm not worthy of being your wife at all. You're not someone from my world. I'm not worthy of you at all." Yang Cheng's mind went blank, as if lightning had struck his forehead, causing him to lose the ability to think. To you, killing is as casual as breathing. To you, money and power are all things that are easily obtainable. Even if you kill hundreds or thousands of people a day, perhaps you won't find it too hard to accept. But to me, the death of a person in front of me is something that will give me nightmares at night. The enemies you have to face, they aren't even human. In their eyes, I'm not your wife. I'm just a burden by your side, a hostage that can be used to force you to submit. I can't help you with anything. I don't understand anything. Other than arguing with you all day because of other women's matters, I can't do anything for you. Don't you think I'm very sad, very ridiculous? My dignity, my pride, my beliefs are just a fragile piece of paper. In front of you, it's useless. But I see myself as so important. Am I an extremely stupid woman? Tell me, isn't that right? Yang Chung looked at the woman who had lost control of her emotions. This wasn't the first time he saw Lin Ruoshi cry so painfully, but this was the first time that Lin Ruoshi actually appeared to feel inferior in front of him. Lin Ruoshi's tears dripped onto the ground like dyed flowers blooming. Do you know, sometimes I even think that if they were your lovers, wouldn't they be much happier than if I were your wife? They don't need to feel that they're not worthy of you. They don't need to worry about other women competing for their positions. They don't need to worry about not returning home at night. If they were lovers, even if they couldn't help you, they wouldn't be in so much pain. Ruoshi, don't be like this, Yang Chung said with difficulty. Lin Ruoshi shook her head and said sadly, Yang Chung, you did the right thing. Jane is the woman who should stay by your side. Only her wisdom can bring you help. She is the woman who is worthy of you. She's so beautiful and comes from a noble background. Unlike me, I'm a woman who doesn't even want my own father. She's also so intelligent, always able to provide you with so much help. The whole world needs her. She loves you so much, even though she knows that the other party is that kind of person. She's willing to sacrifice herself and marry to Russia for you. She won't have nightmares about you killing people, nor will she feel a sense of crisis because you have a lover, because no one can compare to her. Lin Ruoshi. Yang Chung glared at her angrily. What nonsense are you talking about? Chapter 860. Yang Cheng's anger did not seem to have any effect on Lin Ruoshi. After wiping away the tears on her face, the woman stood up and forced a smile. It's normal for you to be angry. I know I'm stupid, and I don't know why I'm saying this, but after saying it, I feel a lot more relaxed. Yang Chung looked at Lin Ruoshi's relieved expression, but his heart tightened. Don't think too much, okay? I just said yesterday that you're very important to me. You're the one who gave me a brand new life. How are you not worthy of me? Lin Ruoshi smiled. Maybe I'm still not confident enough. Okay, I have to go to work. I'm sorry, I'll only annoy you. After saying that, Lin Ruoshi turned around and walked toward her car as if nothing had happened. Yang Chung watched in a daze as the woman got into the car, started it, and left. He stood there, not moving an inch. Sorry? Yang Chung did not even remember if Lin Ruoshi had said these 3 words to him, or how long ago was the last time she said it. For the first time, Lin Ruoshi was smiling at him, but Yang Chung felt that it was even more painful than when she was angry. It was as if there was a breath of air stuck in his chest, and he could not breathe it out. After standing there for a long time, Yang Chung silently walked out of the courtyard and walked toward a villa in front of him. When he arrived at the entrance of a newly moved villa, Yang Chung pressed the video call doorbell. Not long after, a lazy Sheen, who had not even dressed up, appeared in the video call. After being frightened by the clones, Anshin quickly chose a villa that was close to Yang Chung and moved over. In fact, it was a woman's own idea. Of course, the closer she was to Yang Chung, the better it would be. This way, she wouldn't be out of favor if they couldn't see each other for a long time because of work. However, Anshin was more afraid of Lin Ruashi. He was afraid that moving in for no reason would cause strong resentment. So in a way, being attacked gave Anshin an excellent excuse. "Hubby, why are you here so early in the morning?" Anshin asked tenderly. "Didn't you say you went abroad?" Yang Chung forced a smile. "I just got back. Open the door." Anshin smiled sweetly, ran to the door excitedly, and opened it. Because she was still in bed and went downstairs, the woman was still wearing a fluffy white nightgown. Her black hair was scattered with small curls, making her look cute and charming. Yang Chung walked in. As soon as he got close to Anshin's fair face, he smelled a refreshing milk fragrance unique to women, like a pink baby after a bath. Looking at Anshin's moving eyes, Yang Chung was slightly absent-minded. He reached out a hand and slowly caressed the woman's cheek. Anshin could feel that Yang Cheng's emotions were not as calm as he looked on the surface. She was still worried that something had happened when she saw Yang Cheng's hand gently caressing her hair. "You little lazy pig, you're already the chairman. Why are you still so sleepy?" Yang Chung said with a smile. His fingers landed on the corner of Anshin's eyes and gently wiped it. Anshin suddenly came to a realization. "Crap, I didn't wash my face." Yang Chung already said with a smile that was not a smile, "Darling Anshin, this is the first time I've seen you stand in front of me without wax." Huh. Anshin was about to collapse. She really was a pig head. Hurriedly, Anshin buried her head and used her hands to tidy up the area around her eyes. She said in an aggrieved voice, "Hubby, don't look. It's so annoying." Yang Cheng's irritated and depressed mood was somewhat relaxed by the woman's naive expression. He laughed and said, "I didn't know before that there was a woman who could look so beautiful without wax. Little demoness Anshin, did you specially train to secrete eye wax?" Disgusting. Anshin laughed and scolded. However, hearing Yang Chung say that she was beautiful, the woman was still very happy. After a simple cleaning, Anshin still felt unsatisfied and said, "Hubby, take a seat first. There's a lot of delicious food in the fridge. I'll go wash up first." Seeing that Anshin was about to turn around and run back upstairs, Yang Chung immediately hugged the woman's waist. As soon as Anshin ran away, she was pulled back into Yang Cheng's embrace and bumped into him. A pair of plump breasts were tightly pressed against Yang Cheng's thin shirt. Through the cotton nightgown, one could still feel the exquisite softness of the two protrusions. "Don't go." Yang Chung hugged the woman and said deeply. Anshin looked at the entangled emotions in Yang Cheng's eyes and couldn't help but feel a faint pain in her heart. She obediently nodded her head, opening her arms and wrapping them around Yang Cheng's neck. Anshin took the initiative to use her tender and cold lips to press against Yang Cheng's lower lip and lightly peck. Yang Cheng looked at the beauty who was about to melt like water, and his breathing became heavier. He originally wanted to vent the anger in his chest, but now that he was ignited by this considerate woman, he finally couldn't control himself. With a muffled roar, Yang Chung forcefully pressed Anshin's elastic body against the snow-white wall. With one hand, he touched the back of the woman's head, grabbing on her black hair, while the other hand reached into the gap between her breasts and directly grabbed onto a lump of plump. His lips and tongue invaded every inch of tenderness, seizing every trace of sweetness. Anshin didn't even have the time to catch her breath. Every inch of her skin was ignited by the man's demonic claws. Her entire body was burning, and she only felt that the small piece of cloth beneath her body had already been soaked. When her brain could no longer clearly distinguish what she was doing, Anshin simply didn't make any movements, allowing the man to position her body in any position. After Yang Chung enjoyed a series of wet kisses, he moved Anshin's light body onto the large leather sofa in the living room. The loose nightgown became the most suitable attire at this moment. With just a casual lift, The full and round curves of the woman's lower body could be seen. The pink and red panties were already wet, emitting bursts of fragrance. Yang Chung couldn't wait to pull it off, and then took off the only restraint he had. Looking at the woman who had already softened on the sofa and was panting, his eyes were a little red. He grabbed Anshin's 2 plump jade legs and directly clamped them on his waist. That tender and soft flesh, with a slight movement, brought about a trace of enchanting ripples. Yang Chung let out a loud roar, and his entire body completely pressed down, as if he wanted to completely penetrate a lake of spring water, stirring up peach-colored waves. For a moment, the entire living room was only filled with Anshin's bewildered moans, feeling the waves of crazy impact, causing the woman to climb to the peak not long after they started. Yang Chung was like a ferocious beast that didn't know fatigue. His entire delicate and beautiful body was tightly bound to his body, as if he couldn't wait to sink deep into his own body. In a violent storm, the two were lost in a pink fog of passion. After more than an hour, Anshin drowsily heard the man's satisfied voice. Her body felt like it was burning, and she almost fainted. If it wasn't for the fact that she had been training these days, Anshin believed that she would definitely be unconscious just like that. After finishing the deed, Yang Chung placed the soft woman on his chest, caressing Anshin's back. It was silky smooth like silk, and he couldn't help but let out a breath of turbid air. After he finally calmed down, Yang Chung felt rather guilty. He had been a bit too violent just now, and the high intensity had caused the woman to suffer. "Darling Anshin, it's my fault. I shouldn't have come to look for you at such a time. Did I hurt you?" Yang Chung said apologetically. In Anshin's chest, her heart was still beating rapidly. She panted and said, "There were a few times when my mind went blank. I'm a little tired now. Hubby, are you very unhappy today?" "I don't know either. I can't explain it clearly. I just feel like I want to find someone and spit everything out, but you little demoness, I can't help it when I see you. You still have to light up the fire yourself," Yang Chung said with a wry smile. Anshin used her warm little face to press against Yang Cheng's chest, pursed her lips, and smiled happily. "Actually, hubby, I'm still very happy that you're willing to come and find me at this time. At least, it means that I can walk into your heart, right?" Yang Chung pinched her cheek. "What nonsense are you talking about? You have always been in my heart. However, why don't you ask me why? You won't be happy if I mention it, so I don't want to know. In any case, it's fine as long as you're by my side." Anshin mumbled. Yang Chung sighed softly. Even if it was for the sake of such a foolish woman, he had to pull himself together and face the development of the situation. No matter what, Lin Ruashi wasn't the only person he needed to care about. He couldn't let them worry about him. Chapter 861. After thinking for a while, Yang Chen couldn't help but ask, "Darling Anshin, tell me the truth, being with me. Will there be any pressure?" Anshin blinked her eyes. "Pressure? Of course there is," Yang Chung said dejectedly. "So that's how it is. So it's not just Ruashi who thinks this way." Why does Sister Ruashi have to feel the pressure? She's already my real wife. So I, as a little lover, will feel the pressure. I'm always worried that you'll only care about accompanying other women and won't accompany me and won't love me anymore," Anshin said sourly. "If I were to be like Sister Ruashi and live with you every day, how would there be any pressure?" Yang Chung was stunned. "The pressure you're talking about, is that? Then which one?" Anshin was puzzled. Yang Chung smiled. "You stupid brain, how could I not be willing to accompany you? You're the one who's busy and you don't even give me a call. How would I know when you're free? It's not like you don't know that I'm the most idle person." Anshin stuck out her tongue. Hee. "Hubby, you haven't said it yet. What kind of pressure do you think it is?" Yang Chung was a little embarrassed and said, "Ruashi told me this morning that she felt that she and I were not in the same world, and that she was in pain, so much so that I didn't even know what to say to her now. I thought that you were the same as Ruashi, and felt that my status abroad would make you feel uncomfortable." Anshin was stunned for a while before she giggled. "Hubby, did Sister Ruashi really say that?" It's more or less the same, but it's much more complicated than that. Yang Cheng said in distress. Anshin smiled and kissed Yang Cheng's face a few times. What kind of pressure is this? Men are supposed to be stronger than women, so women will like them. I don't know about others, but I definitely hope that the man I like is as strong as possible. No matter how strong he is, no matter how high his status is, it's not like I'm going to be a man's competitor. So why should I feel pressured? As long as we're together, it's fine. Anshin said indifferently. Yang Cheng hesitated. Really? Anshin nodded vigorously. Hubby, think about it. Although I'm not particularly rich, my family has at least tens of billions of yuan. How could I fall in love with a man who only has 1 or 200 million yuan? It's not that I'm materialistic, it's just that I can't really communicate with such a man. Ordinary people had to be calculative when it came to living. In our eyes, a Ferrari worth millions and a villa worth tens of millions could be bought at any time. Money was just a number. Even if a business lost a few hundred million, it would still be a common occurrence. These were two worlds to begin with, so of course they couldn't be together. That's why I feel that it's natural for me to get along with you, because you have money and power, and you're stronger than me. Yang Cheng asked suspiciously, It can't be. Then when I first met you, you didn't know who I was. How could you be willing to follow me? Anshin said shyly, Actually, if it wasn't for you letting me know later on that you were actually very powerful, I don't think I would have agreed to stay by your side. What? Yang Cheng's eyes widened. Are you looking for a beating? Hubby, don't be angry. Anshin cried out as she covered her, but it's not that I'm vain, but if that was the case, you wouldn't have been able to save me. So everything was predestined by the heavens. Besides, if hubby doesn't have as much money as I do, then wouldn't I have to adopt a pretty boy? Yang Cheng felt that it made sense. If he wasn't strong enough, then Lin Ruoshi would have died back then. If it had been earlier, how could he have saved her from the bar? It was better for him to do it alone than to be defiled by a group of people. Although it was a little cruel to say this, that was the reality. Therefore, that woman actually mentioned that she wasn't worthy of him. It was simply inexplicable. Yang Cheng finally felt a little better and then asked, Then, baby Anshin, tell me, I often kill people, and I don't take killing people too seriously. Is that okay? Anshin hesitated for a moment and said softly, Killing people is never a good thing, but I also know that if you don't kill a lot of people, it might only leave behind hidden dangers. Hubby, if you kill people to protect the people around you, I think it's still understandable. After all, hubby, you don't kill people for fun. If they didn't provoke you, they wouldn't have been killed. Yang Cheng felt that this woman was really too cute. That was true. It wasn't like he wouldn't find them himself. If it wasn't for the fact that they didn't treat human lives as human lives, developed anti-human genetic weapons, and even used Jane, would they have nothing better to do? Why would they go to Russia to uproot them? Although the means were cruel and cold-blooded, it didn't matter how they died. Anshin caressed Yang Cheng's face and said softly, Moreover, I know that hubby must hate killing people, otherwise you wouldn't have come back to China to live a peaceful life. But there are a lot of things that can't be avoided just because you want to. I only hope that when I'm by your side, I can see you happy. That way, I will be the happiest. As for the rest, it's not a big deal. Yang Cheng smirked and said, Baby Anshin, as a reward, let's do it again. Anshin hurriedly shrunk her body and said coquettishly, I haven't even slept enough. I've been tossing and turning all morning. I'm tired, I want to sleep. You won't be sleepy after tossing and turning. Yang Cheng licked his lips and tempted. Anshin still shook her head and punched Yang Cheng's chest with her fist. She pouted and said, Little Sen also has human rights. Yang Cheng completely lost his temper, but it was actually on a whim. Seeing how weak Anshin was, he couldn't bear to pounce on her again. Yang Cheng sat up and let Anshin's head rest on his lap. He said warmly, Then you sleep. When you've slept enough, we'll go eat lunch together. Only then did Anshin relax. She obediently nodded and closed her eyes. Due to her fatigue, the woman quickly fell asleep. One of Yang Cheng's hands gently stroked Anshin's long hair, intimately and naturally. Anshin's breathing became even, and she opened her mouth in a daze. Hubby, if you touch me like this, I'll fall asleep and become bald. If you dare to become bald, I'll get rid of you. Yang Chung joked. Anshin pouted, don't get rid of me. Even if you become a fatty in the future and have a beer belly, I will still love you very, very much. Hearing the woman's murmur, Yang Cheng's hand unconsciously paused. A burst of warmth surged through his eyes as he pursed his lips into a smile. Time passed by minute by minute. Perhaps it was because he was sleeping soundly on his lover's thigh, but it wasn't until noon that Anshin woke up after sleeping soundly. Because Yang Cheng said that he wanted to have lunch together, Anshin gave up on the idea of going to work at the company and gave herself a day off. No one could control her anyway. After experiencing the coercion of a group of relatives to the current Anshin, Yang Cheng had truly become her only family. Yang Cheng sent a text message to Guishuahua early in the morning, telling them not to wait. Then, he brought Anshin, who had finished dressing up, to a home-cooked restaurant in the city and quietly enjoyed a lunch. Although he was worried about Lin Ruashi, Yang Cheng knew that both of them needed time to calm down. Moreover, Anshin, who had been silently contributing by his side, should not be left out, so Yang Cheng tried his best to talk about some of his interesting experiences abroad. Firstly, it allowed Anshin to understand him better, and secondly, it allowed the woman to relax and laugh happily. After lunch, the two of them strolled hand in hand on the business street. When they arrived at the entrance of the cinema, Anshin thought of something and said excitedly, "Hubby, isn't Spider-Man 4 showing in the next few days? Let's go in and watch." Yang Cheng frowned. He had never liked watching this kind of sci-fi action movie, because he himself was more sci-fi and more action than the movie. What's the point of that thing? Isn't it just flying around? If you want to play, I'll take you to a place with no one around right now. Yang Cheng curled his lips and said. Anshin pouted and said with some disappointment, "That's right. Do you think I'm very childish?" Yang Cheng was stunned for a moment, then raised his eyebrows and said, "No, let's go and watch." Anshin didn't understand why the man immediately changed his mind. Yang Cheng said, "I always put my own values on you guys. You just reminded me that this might occasionally hurt people, so I decided that I should try my best to get in touch with your usual hobbies. Today, I'll accompany Anshin Baby to watch Spider-Man, and tonight, when we go home, I'll accompany Ruashi to watch Korean dramas. This way, maybe it can increase the sense of identity." Anshin was overjoyed. She hugged Yang Cheng and kissed him on the cheek. "Hubby, that's right. But you can't watch Korean dramas and think of me as a sissy." Yang Cheng smiled bitterly and didn't say anything else. He told Anshin to wait where she was and went to line up to buy a ticket. Because the movie had just been released for a few days, the entrance of the cinema was crowded with people. There were quite a few people buying tickets. Yang Cheng was quite patient and just stood in the line. If one didn't look carefully, no one would be able to discover his existence in the crowd. At this moment, Yang Cheng suddenly quivered. From the corner of his eyes, he felt that he had almost forgotten a familiar figure. Chapter 862. Following that direction, Yang Cheng looked at a bakery across the street. In front of the big window, there was a graceful woman wearing a light pink gauze skirt, looking to see if there was any bread she liked. Under the summer sun, the woman's snow-white calves were wearing a pair of plain canvas shoes, but it was precisely this fresh and natural combination that attracted the attention of many passing men. Yang Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. Perhaps it was because he had wreaked havoc on that woman for more than half a day. With just a glance, that body that was not exaggerated but had a golden ratio attracted his attention. After carefully observing the angle from the side, the woman's exquisite and seductive facial features were immediately seen clearly. Si Yao Chi-Ching. Why is she here? Ever since that time in Los Angeles, when he left this ruthless and mysterious woman in the hotel, Yang Cheng thought that it would be the same as in the past, a one-night stand, and did not think that they would meet again in the future. But seeing her appear in Zhonghai, Yang Cheng couldn't help but feel a headache. Si Yao Chi-Ching was different from other women. She was definitely a big trouble, otherwise she wouldn't have stayed in the United States with her 90 meridians and even did the business of poisoning and swindling money. Yang Cheng didn't ask about the inside story at the time because he didn't want to get involved in unrelated matters. Therefore, Yang Cheng took her body but he didn't have any thoughts of taking her. Firstly, the two of them were secretly plotting against each other, and she was asking for trouble when she failed. There was no relationship at all. Secondly, Yang Chung didn't want such an unpredictable spider spirit to appear among his women. Moreover, he had helped her get rid of the poison that was enough to take her life. He had already done his best and didn't feel that he owed her anything. But now, Xiao Qiqing suddenly appeared, and Yang Chung had a headache. If she really came to find him, what kind of situation would that be? He hadn't settled down with a woman at home yet, and if this kind of thing happened, wouldn't it be killing him? "Hubby, what are you daydreaming about?" Anshin leaned forward and asked suspiciously. Yang Chung was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, "Aren't we lining up? But it's already your turn." Anshin squinted. Only then did Yang Chung realize that the people in front of him had already bought their tickets. Many people around him were staring at him with dissatisfaction. Xiao Qiqing had also disappeared while he was pondering. Yang Chung broke out in a cold sweat and hurriedly bought 2 of the most expensive 3D movie tickets. Anshin, on the other hand, discovered something. She smiled mischievously and said, "Hubby, I noticed a pretty girl walking past us just now. Her calves are so enviable. Have you taken a fancy to her?" Yang Chung said righteously, "How is that possible? I'm not the kind of man who falls in love with every woman I see. No matter how beautiful she is, it has nothing to do with me." After saying this, even Yang Chung felt a little embarrassed. He hurriedly coughed a few times and pretended that nothing had happened. Anshin rolled her eyes cutely. Although she loved this man very much, sometimes when faced with a man's rogue appearance, there was no other way to express her attitude other than this kind of expression. Yang Chung heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed that Xiao Qiqing didn't notice him. Perhaps she just happened to pass by Zhonghai after returning to China and was strolling around. For the rest of the afternoon, after Yang Chung accompanied an ex-IN to watch a movie, he brought her to eat her favorite ice cream. In a French ice cream restaurant called Berthillion, Anshin was eating colorful fruit-flavored ice cream as she introduced, "Hubby, guess who the owner of this shop is?" In a French-owned ice cream restaurant called Berthillion, an ex-IN was eating colorful fruit-flavored ice cream as she introduced the place. "Hubby, guess who the owner of this shop is?" In a French ice cream restaurant called Berthillion, Anshin was eating colorful fruit-flavored ice cream as she introduced, "Hubby, guess who the owner of this shop is?" Anshin was surprised. "Hubby, how did you know?" "I really opened this after I returned to China. However, I invested and let that French friend run it. I have 60% of the shares." Yang Chung casually guessed and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Do you like it that much? I've never heard you say that you want to eat ice cream before." An ex-IN said excitedly, "When I was a stewardess in the past, I ate this Berthillion in France, and I always wanted to eat it again. However, it wasn't sold in Zhonghai, so I discussed with their company and opened this chain restaurant. How about it? It tastes much better than Haagen-Dazs, right?" Yang Chung wasn't interested in sweets, but he still nodded in agreement. Anshin's eyes were sparkling. "Hubby, do you know, I didn't dare to come here before because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to stop once I opened my mouth. But now that you said that I can cultivate to keep my figure, I'm not afraid anymore. Anyway, even if I get sick from eating it, Hubby can cure me, right?" Yang Cheng's eyebrows twitched when he heard this. He felt that the woman had such an idea. He could only shake his head helplessly and smile. "As long as you like it." Anshin was so excited that she ran from the other end of the table to Yang Cheng's side and kissed Yang Chung on the cheek. "Hey, you crazy vixen, there's even cream on your mouth." Yang Chung touched his cold face and said gloomily. Anshin giggled. "The air coming out of my mouth is ice cream flavor. Hubby, do you want a French kiss? It's very sweet." Saying that, the woman also used her lilac tongue to lick off the cheese on the corner of her mouth. She blinked her eyes, and her eyelashes curled up, exuding a seductive look. Yang Chung was suddenly electrocuted again. Without saying anything, he hugged Anshin's soft waist and held the woman on his lap. He kissed her heavily. The relaxed and happy time passed quickly. It had to be said that Yang Chung felt that he could always be particularly happy when he was with Anshin. Among the women around him, she was the most lively. Of course, The fiery Choi Yun was another concept. It wasn't until Anshin's belly was full that he returned with satisfaction. Anshin still had to deal with the important documents that had accumulated after a day of not going to work. After sending her home, Yang Chung also had to rush back home. First, he had to talk to Lin Ruashi. Second, it was time to find out Jinxio's results. Whether it was good or bad, he was the one who sent her to retake the exam, so he had to pay attention to it. Yang Chung even thought that if Jinxio did badly, he would have to use his connections to buy a good university admission seat for the girl. When it came to using the back door, people were always particularly biased towards their own people. As soon as he stepped into the living room, Yang Chung saw the 4 women in the family gathered around the sofa and chatting happily. Seeing that Yang Chung had come back, Guo Shuehua hurriedly waved her hand. "Son, come over quickly. Something good happened in our family." Yang Chung let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Jinxio had worked hard and should have done well in the exam. Now it was going to be lively. On the other hand, Lin Ruashi had already returned home early. She sat on the sofa alone. When she saw Yang Chung, her gaze was a little evasive and the smile on her face had also disappeared. "Did you get into university?" Yang Chung smiled as he walked up and asked. Jinxio's little face was red, and she looked very excited. Looking at the tear stains on her face, it seemed that she had just cried. When she heard Yang Chung's question, she nodded vigorously. Yang Chung habitually pinched the girl's face. "You got in, and you still cried. If you didn't, you would have cried until you fainted." Jinxio wiped her face embarrassedly and pouted. "I don't know why, but I just couldn't help but cry." "You child, why don't you say something nice?" Guo Shuehua jokingly scolded. "Do you know which university our Jinxio got into?" Before Yang Chung could guess, Guo Shuehua said herself, "Zhonghai University." She got in. She has the same score as Tang Tang from the Tang family. Top 10 in Zhonghai. Yang Chung was slightly surprised. He only knew about Zhonghai University because of Jane. It was undoubtedly a famous university in the country, or even the world. Tang Tang was originally extremely talented. She inherited her mother, Tang Wan's intelligence. She belonged to the type that didn't put much effort into studying, so it wasn't strange. It was really commendable that Jinxio could also achieve such an achievement by relying on her own hard work. However, thinking about how this girl had been studying at night, it was understandable. As expected of the direct bloodline of a Korean super chaebol, her genes at a certain standard, Yang Chung thought silently. Jinxio suddenly raised her head and said to Lin Ruashi seriously, "Sister Ruashi, can I work at ULA International after I graduate? I will study very hard." Lin Ruashi was stunned. She didn't seem to understand why she suddenly asked that question. She then smiled and said, "Of course you can. If you have a diploma from Zhonghai University, you could directly apply for a position at the headquarters. I can't wait for you to come." "Yeah, I will definitely work hard to repay you. I owe you too much." Jinxio was full of confidence. She proved herself through the college entrance examination. It was as if she had been reborn. Lin Ruashi sighed softly and said, "Silly girl, why are you saying this again? It's not like I'm the only one who helped you. Besides, do you think I'm letting you stay at home for you to repay me?" "That's right," Yang Chung said sourly. "I wonder who led that bad girl back from the edge of the cliff." Jinxio pouted and said, "That person was Sister Choi Yun, definitely not Brother Yang." "Hiss, you ungrateful girl." Yang Chung laughed and scolded, pretending to pull Jinxio's ear. Jinxio quickly hid behind Guo Shuehua and complained, "Auntie Guo, look, Brother Yang is bullying me again. Brother Yang is so bad. You said not to call me little girl a few days ago." Chapter 863. Men are fickle. Yang Chung shouted shamelessly, then walked past Guo Shuehua and pinched Jinxio's nose, causing Jinxio to be like a little rabbit that was about to bite someone. This scene made Guo Shuehua roll her eyes, looking at her shameless son. He was simply a clown. It was a pity that she missed out on his childhood and youth. Guo Shuehua and Mother Wang looked at each other and smiled. They could see the gratification in each other's eyes. "Son-in-law, don't tease that last Jinxio. Today is such a joyous day. Why don't we go out for a meal?" Mother Wang suggested. "Yulan's suggestion is not bad." Guo Shuahua said excitedly. We can also invite that last Choi Yun, Tang Wan, and Tang Tang. All right, also Chiang Wei, Qinyi, Anxin, and Mingyu. Yang Cheng, you can also contact them. If something good happens, we can all have a good time together. Just as she finished speaking, Guo Shuahua felt that something was wrong. That's right. Lin Ruoshi was still here. When she was happy, she wanted to invite all the women she liked, but she suddenly forgot about the thoughts of her real daughter-in-law. Involuntarily, Guo Shuahua looked at Lin Ruoshi, a little embarrassed, and asked, Ruoshi, what do you think? Or should our family go out for a meal? Lin Ruoshi smiled faintly. Mother is right. Just invite everyone. I don't have any objections. Hearing Lin Ruoshi's straightforward and calm reply, although Guo Shuahua was happy, she also felt that it was strange. Yang Cheng's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly realized that Lin Ruoshi had given up on fighting for her own position, as if she had seen through everything. If it was in the past, Yang Cheng would still feel extremely happy because he finally didn't have to be in a cold war with his wife because of another woman. However, the current situation was clearly the result of Lin Ruoshi losing confidence in herself after being stimulated to a certain extent. That was why there was such a sudden change. Such a situation only made Yang Cheng feel extremely uncomfortable. Yang Cheng even thought that even if she used to stare at him coldly in the past, it would still make him feel more comfortable than this gentle and obedient appearance. The matter was settled. Guo Shuahua called them personally, and the women naturally wouldn't refuse. Even Anxin had just gone back to deal with some matters. Even if she had work to do, she declined at first. However, when she called Lu Mingyu, Jinxiu repeatedly emphasized that they couldn't let Lu Mingho come over, for fear that the kid would come and play some troublesome tricks. After all the preparations were done, the family was driven by Yang Cheng to a leisure and vacation farmhouse restaurant that had reserved a private room. It was also a villa that Lin Ruoshi had acquired not long ago, and it came in handy. The entire restaurant was built on an artificial lake. On both sides of the private room, there were huge floor-to-ceiling glass windows that could see the starry night outside and the sparkling lake. When the women arrived one after another, the entire big round table was full. There were more than a dozen seats, and it was quite lively. As soon as Tang Tang arrived, she chatted nonstop with Jinxiu. The two girls seemed to have established a stable friendship after passing the college entrance examination. After all, they were of the same age and had a lot to talk about. This made the group of women in their 20s feel that there was a generation gap between them and the two girls. This was because Yang Cheng had gathered all the women once for the matter of human cloning, so there was no awkwardness when they met again. Everyone was talking and laughing, and it looked like a happy and harmonious gathering. To Yang Cheng's surprise, other than Guo Shuahua, Yang Cheng's biological mother, the most popular one was actually Tang Wan. Perhaps it was because Tang Wan was more than 10 years older than them, and her experience and knowledge were much higher. It was easy for the women to show some admiration for her when she talked, and it was also very convincing. Anxin, Lu Mingyu, and Mo Qinyi were all in business management, and they were particularly interested in some of Tang Wan's pointers. In fact, in terms of doing business, it was not that Tang Wan was better than Lin Ruoshi. In fact, in terms of achievements, Tang Wan was the type who preferred stability, and there was still a gap between her and Lin Ruoshi. However, it was precisely because Lin Ruoshi always took the unconventional path that others would not have the thought of asking her for advice. And naturally, Choi Yun and Chiang Wei had the most things to talk about. Both of them were more interested in practicing martial arts. When Chiang Wei said that after a thunderstorm recently, she gradually found a path that belonged to her, Choi Yun kept asking questions. She looked very anxious, which made Chiang Wei very annoyed. In the end, they talked about some topics about the underworld, which made Choi Yun's appetite become better. It seemed that the women were very harmonious, but Yang Cheng also knew that it was a different matter in the depths of their hearts. As the hostess, Lin Ruoshi did not participate in the conversation much. She was not good at talking. She was busy ordering the dishes, choosing the ingredients, and choosing the drinks. After that, she sat quietly beside Guo Shuahua. Throughout the entire dinner, Other than talking about Jinxiu and occasionally clinking glasses with fruit juice, Lin Ruoshi did not say much. However, everyone knew her personality, so they were not surprised. Yang Cheng saw this. He did not say anything, but in his heart, he became more and more worried. It was not until 10 o'clock in the evening that everyone returned. Because all the women at the table did not drink, everyone was very sober when they said goodbye. Yang Cheng drove home. When he was about to enter the door, he called out to Lin Ruoshi. Ruoshi, don't go in yet. Come for a walk with me. Lin Ruoshi, who was about to follow Guoxiuhua in, was stunned and hesitated at the door. Jinxiu, who was already in the house, smiled and said, Sister Ruoshi, let's go. It's rare for Brother Yang to think of such a leisurely and elegant thing. A walk under the moonlight. Guoxiuhua, on the other hand, saw something and pushed her daughter-in-law's back. Go, remember to bring the key. I want to lock the door. Lin Ruoshi nodded obediently and walked to Yang Cheng's side. Yang Cheng naturally held the woman's hand and turned around to walk straight to the wide green area on the west side of the villa. Stepping on the winding path paved with cobblestones, a fresh breeze blew through the trees at night. A crescent moon hung in the sky, and the stars were especially clear and bright at this moment. Yang Cheng's eyes were filled with thoughts, and he did not speak for a long time. Lin Ruoshi only felt that her hand was being held by the man, and had no intention of letting go. Feeling the burning warmth, her heart was intertwined with a complicated feeling, a little bitter, a little sour, and a little sweet. Don't you have something to say? Lin Ruoshi could not help but ask. Yang Cheng let out a light breath, and suddenly said with a smile, I can tell that Jinxiu is very grateful to you, from the bottom of her heart. Lin Ruoshi pursed her lips and smiled. Hasn't she always been very sensible? Why did you suddenly mention this? There are also many people who are grateful to you. Yang Cheng said. Who? Your subordinates, your employees, the bosses of the small companies that you bought over. A lot, Yang Cheng said slowly. Lin Ruoshi looked at the man in confusion. Yang Cheng turned his head away. Under the moonlight, his ordinary face appeared chiseled. Madam Lin Ruoshi, my dear wife, you've earned a lot of money. Although your total assets aren't as much as mine, you're stronger than me. You're stronger because you've helped more people earn more money besides yourself. That's the value you've shown. Lin Ruoshi smiled faintly and said, You don't need to comfort me like that. I'm fine. Besides, I'm just trying my best to keep the business my grandmother left me alive. I'm not that great. To judge whether you're great or not, to judge your true value, is not to look at how much money you make now, nor is it to look at how many people you feed. It's history. History will tell people whether you're a profiteer who only knows how to make money to satisfy your selfish desires or a great entrepreneur. I believe that history will choose the latter. Yang Cheng blinked his eyes and smiled. Don't say these words to make me happy. I'm not a child. I know what I'm doing. Lin Ruoshi said calmly. Yang Cheng stopped in his tracks, turned around and faced the woman, and said solemnly, You said that you're always worried about me. Always afraid of me, always tortured. Now, since you say that you know what you're doing, why do you want me to worry about you and suffer for you? I've been thinking about you since morning. Even when I go out with Anshin, I'll think about you from time to time. I'm worried that you won't be able to eat, that you won't be tired, that you'll be hiding in the office crying by yourself. Do you know what you're doing? You don't want it to put too much pressure on you, and so do I. But you're starting to make it hard for me. I am your family. And I am also your husband. Shouldn't a husband and wife understand and help each other? If you really treat me as your husband, you should tell me what's wrong with you, what's so difficult about you. Tell me, you need me. Chapter 864. Listening to the man's increasingly agitated words, Lin Ruoshi's eyes reddened as she forced a smile. What's wrong with you today? I think it's good like this. I won't argue with you. And I won't argue with you because of other women. Isn't it what you want to live a peaceful life like this? Yang Cheng shook his head resolutely. I hope that you can accept them, but the premise is that you have to be happy. I hope that you are sincere and happy to get along with them, and not seal up your true self to force yourself to accept the current situation. I didn't. Lin Ruoshi bit her lower lip and lowered her head to say. However, Yangqing stubbornly reached out to caress the woman's face, making her raise her head and look at him. Lin Ruoshi, ask yourself, why did you persist until now? Why did you carry all the burden of carrying you lay by yourself? Answer me. Why? Lin Ruoshi muttered to herself, but did not answer. Yang Cheng took a deep breath and said, Do you know in my eyes, you are like a flower that will never wither? Even if you are crushed into the mud, you will not lose even the slightest bit of color. However, she was definitely not a fake flower without any life force. She used the petals of the most real life to continue the most brilliant posture. A real flower, even if it was small and delicate, was more precious than a gorgeous fake flower. You work hard to support a company that feeds tens of thousands of people. You are injured at any time, and you can fall at any time. Some people don't understand you, some people hate you, and some people hate you. You may earn money, but you will be cursed. Even so, you can completely stop working now and let a man support you for hundreds of years. But why are you still standing in your position? Answer me. Lin Ruoshi stared blankly at Yang Cheng. Her moist eyes were filled with stars. Lin Ruoshi's voice trembled. Let me help you. Yang Cheng said gently, because you're Lin Ruoshi. You have to prove that you're truly living in this world. You'd rather let your blood run wild and miserable than choose those comfortable and hypocritical luxuries. You're such a stupid woman that I can't stop. Do you know? Lin Ruoshi couldn't hold it in any longer. Her tears fell onto Yang Cheng's palm, and they felt cold. Yang Cheng reached out to wipe her tears away and said with a smile, Do you still remember that time when you asked me to rescue Mom? Lin Ruoshi nodded. She didn't know what to say. I was in so much pain that my heart felt like it was on fire. However, I was like a traveler who had fallen into the sea and couldn't even find straw. At that time, if you hadn't stood in front of me and fished me out of the sea, perhaps I would have lost our mother. To me, it's true that money and status aren't things that I care too much about, and I don't need you to do anything for me. However, when I was most helpless, you gave me the courage to face things that I didn't dare to face. It's precisely because you can walk into the deepest part of my heart that you're so precious. Lin Ruoshi slowly raised her head and looked at Yang Cheng's sincere eyes under the faint moonlight. What you said, is it all true? Do you know how water birds migrate? Yang Chen asked with a smile. Lin Ruoshi shook her head. She didn't understand the meaning behind Yang Cheng's sudden words. When water birds fly across the ocean, they travel in pairs. If they're tired, one of the birds will fly under the tired water bird and open its wings to support the water bird so that it can rest a little longer. When the other water bird is tired, the resting water bird will also turn around and support it. Couples who walk together often experience twists and turns in their lives. For couples like us who live in different realms, like parallel lines intersecting, the challenges we face are naturally greater. Don't you think that the process of water birds flying across the ocean is very similar to our lives? As Yang Cheng spoke, he used his forehead to press against Lin Ruoshi's forehead and gently touched her nose. Feeling the man's hot breath, Lin Ruoshi's cheeks blushed. Then in the future, I can still lose my temper at you, ignore you, and don't give those vixens any face? Lin Ruoshi stammered. Yang Cheng looked at her with a strange expression and finally nodded slightly, although I don't like you calling them vixens. But you can do whatever you want. Besides, if you ignore me, I'll stick my hot face to your cold butt. What a disgusting way to say it. Lin Ruoshi pouted. You have to make it clear. Are you referring to my face being disgusting, or your butt being disgusting, baby Ruoshi? Oh, that's not right. It must be my face that's disgusting. My butt is fragrant. Yang Cheng said in all seriousness. Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but bite her lower lip and laugh foolishly. Why are your skin getting thicker and thicker? Hey, you're going to ridicule me. It seems like you've thought it through now. Yang Cheng said happily. A little bit. What do you mean a little bit? Then have you thought it through? Yang Cheng asked gloomily. Lin Ruoshi blinked her eyes, tilted her head, and said, It depends on my mood. Yang Cheng was stunned for a while, then said with certainty, "Then I've thought it through." Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but remain silent. Seeing that it was getting late, Yang Cheng said, "Let's go back. You should rest early. Don't you have to go to work tomorrow?" Lin Ruoshi didn't move her feet and said faintly, "Didn't you say you wanted to take a walk? We've only walked for a short distance. But didn't you think it through?" Yang Cheng said with a smile, "Don't tell me you're really going to eat supper on a main road?" Lin Ruoshi shook her head. "Eating supper will make you fat. Then what do you want to do, my wife?" Yang Cheng said in distress. Lin Ruoshi lowered her head and said unwillingly, "If you can play with Anshin for the whole day, can't you walk with me?" Yang Cheng looked embarrassed. So it was because of this that she felt uncomfortable. However, from this point, it seemed that the knot in Lin Ruoshi's heart had been untied. "Then how about I piggyback you to the back of the mountain to look at the stars?" Yang Cheng suggested. Lin Ruoshi's eyes flashed with a bright light. It was clear that this kind of romantic idea was more acceptable to a woman who liked romantic feelings. But when she saw that Yang Cheng wanted to piggyback her, she was still a bit reluctant and said, "Why are you piggybacking me? I can walk by myself." Yang Cheng smiled bitterly in his heart. She was still shy, so he sincerely said, "My wife, please do a good deed and let this young man take advantage of you." Lin Ruoshi giggled. It was as if the fragrance of the night had bloomed. "All right then, I'll let you take advantage of me." After finally making this woman laugh, Yang Cheng also let out a sigh of relief. He piggybacked Lin Ruoshi and slowly walked up the mountain. The night breeze was gentle, and the stars were sparse. The two of them were quiet, and their conversation was soft. The atmosphere was a little ambiguous and a little sweet. For Yang Cheng, of course, there was no problem with his physical strength. It was just that during the process of carrying her, Lin Ruoshi's two plump, snow-capped peaks were tightly pressed against his back. The soft touch would slide up and down from time to time, rubbing against each other, making Yang Cheng's heart skip a beat. Lin Ruoshi also pretended not to know. If she were to look at her face to face, the woman's face would already be flushed and her eyes would be filled with spring. The two sensitive spots on her chest, although protected by a bra, were still too close to each other. They were stimulated again and again, causing her to almost moan in shame. Yang Cheng could feel the woman's patience. Lin Ruoshi was much more sensitive than he had imagined. He couldn't help but smile and say, "If it's comfortable, then call it out. There's no one else here anyway, so it's fine if you call out to your husband." How could I want to shout?" Lin Ruoshi hurriedly defended herself. Yang Cheng sighed softly. "Let's wait a little longer. I think I'll be able to receive the gift I prepared for you at the end of August. By then, I'll bring you to a good place for our wedding. Then we can sleep in the same room. I'll definitely make up for the lack of intimacy during this period of time. I'm actually feeling terrible right now." Lin Ruoshi's eyes were sparkling. She seemed to be longing for it, but at the same time, she was a little confused. "I thought that when I promised to sleep with you, you would be impatient. Why are you holding back this time?" Yang Cheng smiled. "What? Darling Ruoshi, you can't wait any longer." "How?" Lin Ruoshi's charming face was burning hot. She only dared to ask this question when she looked at the back of Yang Cheng's head. She stuttered, "I'm just curious." Yang Cheng thought for a moment, then replied, "Maybe. It's because I really care too much. That's why I'm a little timid when it comes to everything related to you. I'm not sure either, but I definitely don't want to leave behind any regrets." Listening to the man's leisurely and seemingly simple reason, Lin Ruoshi felt a little sour in her nose. The corner of her mouth revealed a gentle smile. Chapter 865. The temperature dropped quickly at night. Leaning on the man, Lin Ruoshi felt unusually warm. When Yang Cheng carried her to the top of the mountain, Lin Ruoshi had unknowingly fallen asleep on Yang Cheng. This also had something to do with Yang Cheng deliberately walking steadily. It was like lying in a cradle. It was hard not to fall asleep. After Yang Cheng discovered this, he had no other thoughts but a bitter smile. So he walked in vain. He didn't even look at the stars and turned back to send Lin Ruoshi home. However, when going down the mountain, Yang Cheng deliberately chose to hold Lin Ruoshi. Otherwise, the woman's chest with just the right degree of softness would always rub against him. Yangcheng really couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't turn into a wolf. It had to be said that some women were born to lead men to commit crimes. After sending Lin Ruoxi to her own boudoir, he took off her sandals and covered her with an air-conditioned quilt. Yangcheng kissed her forehead calmly and then slowly left the room. For Lin Ruoxi, she hadn't had a good rest in the past 2 days. First, because of Jane's incident, and then because she didn't know how to carry out her relationship with Yangcheng. Her ego was constantly under attack. Tonight, she finally solved the inner confusion. Exhaustion swept over her, and she slept very soundly. After Yangcheng returned to his room, he took a cold shower and planned to sleep. He would go to see the women's exercise tomorrow morning. This was what he was most concerned about in the future. But before he could lie down, the phone vibrated. Yangcheng took a look and saw that it was Tang Wan. "You heartless." As soon as he picked up, Tang Wan's voice came from the other side of the phone. Yangcheng's brain tightened. "Dear, did that girl Tang Tang provoke you? What kind of opening is this?" Tang Wan said angrily, "Accompany Anshin during the day and carry your wife up the mountain to play romantic at night. Tell me, have you been with me since you came back from Yinjing? Do you think I'm easy to bully because I don't talk? Believe it or not, I will go to your house every day and piss your CEO wife off." Hearing the woman's complaint, Yangcheng suddenly realized that the woman had seen him carrying Lin Ruoxi up the mountain. After all, the villa where Tang Wan and Tang Tang lived was just behind, so it was understandable. Yangcheng smiled embarrassedly and said, "Xiao Wan, don't be angry. It's my fault. It's not like you don't know that I'm a heartless person. It's inevitable that I'll make mistakes. Besides, I'm just worried that you'll feel awkward if I make out with Tang Tang around. Don't use this kind of excuse. If you cared about Tang Tang, why would you have dared to pounce on me in the first place?" Tang Wan scoffed. "Fortunately, I don't need a man to support me. Don't come looking for me in the future. I'm going to be a grandmother in a few years. It's not suitable for me to be with a young man like you. We're finished." After that, Tang Wan directly hung up the phone. Yangcheng was so anxious that he scratched his ears and cheeks. This woman was clearly throwing a tantrum. It seemed that women who had entered the stage of love, even if they were not young, were still extremely unstable. Of course, Yangcheng wouldn't let Tang Wan really be finished. This was definitely Tang Wan's way of venting her dissatisfaction. After putting on some simple clothes, Yangcheng jumped off the balcony. Since Tang Wan wasn't asleep yet, wasn't it a good time for him to make a surprise attack in the middle of the night? When he ran to Tang Wan's villa, sure enough, the lights in the hall on the first floor were still on. Yangcheng smiled evilly. As expected of Tang Wan, even the way she called him over to accompany her for the long night was so special. After walking forward and pressing the doorbell, the door was opened after a long while. "Why are you still here? Didn't you say it's over?" Tang Wan stood at the door and said with a straight face. However, Yangcheng didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the beautiful woman who was dressed in a cool outfit. Tang Wan was actually only wearing a nightgown. Her curvy and voluptuous figure was completely revealed under the thin champagne-colored nightgown. The places that the nightgown couldn't cover revealed her snow-white and tender skin. Coupled with Tang Wan's current delicate appearance, she had a kind of seductive charm. "What are you looking at? Your wife is so beautiful. Why are you still looking at an old woman like me?" Under Yangcheng's gaze, Tang Wan's pretty face blushed. She was happy in her heart, but her mouth didn't relax. Yangcheng licked his lips. He didn't care about Tang Wan's hidden bitterness at all and said, "Don't be naughty. I'm here now. Where's Tang Tang, that girl? Is she asleep?" How could Tang Wan not know what Yangcheng meant? She said softly, "Tang Tang went to bed early. You came to find me just to do that? Also, how am I naughty? At this time, if I want to accompany you, other than doing something I love to do, I can only eat supper. But with our Wan's figure, eating supper will definitely make her too plump, so let's do some exercise." Yangcheng moved closer step by step. His nostrils were already filled with the mature woman's fragrance of Tang Wan. Tang Wan subconsciously retreated back into the room. She was a little nervous. "Don't mess around. I'm still angry." Then do serious things while you're angry. Yang Chung laughed. He reached out to stop Tang Wan's soft and delicate body and pulled her into his arms. Ah! Tang Wan couldn't help but moan. After her sensitive and plump body touched Yang Cheng's warm and wide palm, her mind was shaken and her nerves couldn't help but tighten. Yang Cheng, you only know how to bully me. After playing, I'll leave. After leaving, I'll forget. Am I that cheap? Tang Wan struggled to say. Yang Chung sucked the woman's soft earlobe. Don't be angry. I'll definitely pay attention to it in the future. Even if I have a lot of things to do and I'm busy, I'll still tell you. Is that okay? That's more like it. Tang Wan wasn't really angry. She just showed her dissatisfaction appropriately. This would always make a man pay more attention to her. It could also be considered a cautious tactic. At this moment, Tang Wan had long lost her temper after being attacked by Yang Chung from top to bottom. At first, she was still struggling weakly, symbolically expressing her dissatisfaction. However, when Yang Cheng's hands directly reached in her nightgown, facing her pair of incomparably proud soft snow-capped peaks, and after caressing them, her body became completely limp and softly stuck to Yang Cheng's body. Tang Wan's soft and moist lips couldn't help but kiss Yang Cheng's neck. As she panted, her lips were filled with the fragrance of flowers. After Yang Cheng's recuperation and a period of training, Tang Wan's beautiful body not only possessed the seductive charm of a mature woman, but also the youthful vitality of a young woman. It was truly flawless. Yang Chung couldn't hold back his excitement. He hugged the beauty and spun around a few times. With a push of his body, he pressed Tang Wan onto the soft sofa in the living room. After the thin nightgown was lifted up, Tang Wan's slender, snow-white, round, and elastic thighs were tightly wrapped around Yang Cheng's waist. You rascal. Last time it was the kitchen, and this time it's the living room? Can't you find a normal place? Tang Wan was panting. Her pretty face was flushed as she panted. The kitchen has its fun in the kitchen, and the living room has its fun in the living room. If little Wan is willing, I can carry you to the grassland outside to do it. Anyway, no one can see. Yang Chung tempted Tang Wan's ear. After hearing this, Tang Wan let out a moan. Her charming eyes looked at Yang Chung, and her delicate body couldn't help but slightly twist. Although she wasn't young, she was still inexperienced. How could she withstand this kind of teasing? Yang Chung smirked. After removing his restraints, he attacked the beautiful woman who was already empty inside. After a moment, the room reverberated with Tang Wan's excited moans. Mixed with Yang Cheng's heavy breathing, they converged into a thrilling symphony. The red flowers were beautiful, and the beautiful orioles were flying slowly. As the pink picture flashed, the battle between Yang Chung and Tang Wan had moved to the second floor, to the soft big bed in Tang Wan's room. A woman who had reached a certain age and had been waiting for a wife for many years. Once the hidden desire was released, it was like Pandora's box was opened, and it couldn't be stopped. The woman who usually maintained an intellectual, reserved, and even cold attitude in front of others suppressed the passion in her heart, especially raging and crazy. At this moment, Tang Wan's body and mind were in a whirlpool of extreme desire, which made her fall into madness. Only through Yang Cheng's fierce sprint and collision could she satisfy the emptiness that she had been feeling for a long time. Therefore, for so many days, Yang Chung didn't come to find her. Not only was she sulking in her heart, but she had also been tortured physically, which resulted in this moment of release. This night was destined to be a sleepless night full of lingering affection. Chapter 866. The two of them fought until the wee hours of the morning. After more than an hour of nourishment, Tang Wan's delicate body appeared even more tender and smooth. Her plump and round breasts seemed to have swelled up a little because of the excessive stimulation. This was definitely an irresistible temptation for any man. Her eyes were like silk, her delicate and charming oval face was flushed, and her soft and red cherry lips were slightly open. Soft moans and moans were constantly squeezed out of her mouth and scrupulously. However, The tide-like feeling that her body felt could not be completely released through the moans in her mouth. Yang Cheng's dragon horn constantly stirred up violent waves on her lower body. It was as if a monstrous wave had suddenly set off on a calm sea surface, violently hitting her body and mind. At this moment, she felt that her body had become extremely wonderful. Her body and mind had also become extremely light, as if she was sitting on the clouds. Along with the turbulent waves, she was constantly rolling up and down, drifting. Tang Wan couldn't even remember how many times she had climbed to the peak in the past hour. It was like a gentle breeze and drizzle for a long time, but it was so exciting. The spring water below was overflowing, all of which proved that Tang Wan's body and mind were extremely excited. This time, she had enjoyed a feast that surpassed any of the previous times. Compared to the ignorant in the past, the beautiful woman's movements were so skilled. Her delicate body twisted so softly, especially the moment her plump and beautiful buttocks swayed. It was as if she was watching an art film. She used her body to completely accommodate Yang Cheng, to accommodate this little man who had occupied her once, and who she couldn't help but fall in love with in the past year. However, she couldn't help but feel a little regretful that she had always let Yang Cheng take the initiative. She thought to herself that she also wanted to take the initiative for once, to see how she felt after taking the initiative. Thus, she turned over and pressed her hands on Yang Cheng's body, making him lie down. She said shyly, "This time, I want to take the initiative. It doesn't matter, even if you treat yourself as a corpse, you are not allowed to fight back. Can I touch it?" Yang Cheng pointed at the sensitive part of the woman's chest and said, "No." Tang Wan also completely let go. "You can only move if I let you." Yang Cheng smiled faintly. In fact, there was nothing wrong with it. Although he had no problem with his physical strength, watching Tang Wan's vivid performance was also a great enjoyment. Tang Wan sat down from top to bottom, and the fire stick hit the bullseye very smoothly. That feeling was as if her soul was forcibly extracted and then thrown to the ninth heaven. Tang Wan's delicate body couldn't help but soften, and she directly laid down on Yang Cheng's broad chest. "Lil Wan, are you okay?" Yang Cheng teased her and nudged her lower body. I told you not to move. Also, don't ask a woman if she's okay or not." Yang Cheng almost burst out laughing. Weren't these words supposed to be said by men? Tang Wan cursed in her heart. This bad guy, why does it feel like that thing has grown a bit bigger? Could it be that he didn't use his full strength just now? Unable to care too much, Tang Wan subconsciously followed her feelings, and her beautiful buttocks began to sway. The flexibility of her waist was perfectly displayed at this moment. She twisted and swayed, and slowly, her entire body entered an extremely wonderful dream, filled with warmth, beauty, excitement, and different emotions. She was intoxicated in it, unwilling to wake up, nor did she want it to end. But in the end, when Yang Cheng let out a deep roar, and after his powerful venting poured into the depths of her bud like a surging tide, she also couldn't help but scream loudly. Her body instantly convulsed, and she instantly held her breath. The expression on her face seemed to be both painful and happy, and also seemed to be reminiscing for a long time. Tang Wan laid on Yang Cheng's sturdy chest weakly, and closed her eyes, recalling the moment of ecstasy just now. Her heart couldn't calm down for a long time. To her, that kind of wonderful experience was unforgettable, and she realized that she had already lost control of her crazy love for this wonderful feeling. After a long time, Yang Cheng let out a light sigh and reached out to gently stroke Tang Wan's soft hair. Looking at her beautiful, flushed face, he couldn't help but feel a trace of warmth in his heart. Tang Wan slowly opened her pair of charming eyes, and her big watery eyes were filled with thick tenderness and honey. Her beautiful face only had a look of satisfaction. To her, Yang Cheng was not only powerful, but could even be said to be a superb master. Of course, that was in bed. Although she didn't have much experience in the past, when she was curious, she could also learn from the internet or books that not every woman could really get a true release from entanglement, and every time she did it with Yang Cheng, she could climb to the peak. This undoubtedly had a great attraction for women. Of course, what was even more fortunate was that this man was still the man she liked. Satisfied? Are you not angry anymore? Yang Chung kissed Tang Wan's forehead and asked with a smile. Tang Wan pouted coquettishly. She bit her lower lip and looked at Yang Chung with infinite charm in her eyes. She said, "I'll tell you when I recover." "Forget it. You're tired. Can you rest early? It's late," Yang Chung said as he stroked the woman's hair. Tang Wan moved her body and suddenly couldn't help but open her mouth and moan. The end of the moan was extremely long and seductive. "What's wrong?" Yang Chung couldn't help but ask in surprise. "That, your one is still. It's still inside and it seems it's up again." This time, Tang Wan was already crying. Her pretty face was full of shyness, and her eyes were filled with emotion as she mumbled. Yang Chung couldn't help but sigh. "Who told you to retreat so slowly? Then what should we do?" At this moment, Tang Wan's body was soft, and her brain wasn't listening to her. She didn't notice her own problem at all. She was too stupid. Sure enough, Yang Chung only let out a sneaky laugh. "Since it's up, let's suppress it." Oh, it was obvious that Yang Chung wouldn't follow the woman's wishes this time. After a moment of disdain, the turnaround once again broke out in the bed. One night later, at noon, when the sun shone directly into the room, Yang Chung slowly opened his eyes on Tang Wan's soft bed. His mouth and nose were filled with the smell of male and female hormones and Tang Wan's body fragrance. After relaxing and having a good sleep, Yang Chung felt refreshed. Suddenly, he smelled the fragrance of food coming from downstairs. Yang Chung licked his lips. It turned out that Tang Wan had gone downstairs to cook. As expected of a mother, she still had this much strength after the battle. After putting on his clothes, Yang Chung excitedly ran downstairs, just in time to see a graceful woman wearing a red and pink apron with wavy hair, carrying 2 dishes from the kitchen to the dining room. When Tang Wan saw Yang Chung, she seemed to recall last night's madness and couldn't help but blush. She pretended to be indifferent and said, "Wash your hands and eat. I made chicken soup." Yang Chung followed behind the beauty and said with a smile, "I'm not washing." "Why?" Tang Wan turned her head and asked in confusion. "My hands have been touching these 2 fragrant lumps for the whole night, and there's still that milky fragrance. I can't bear to," Yang Chung said with an ambiguous smile. Tang Wan's ears turned red, and she coquettishly scolded, "Pervert." She stretched out her hand and pinched the soft flesh on Yang Cheng's waist. Yang Chung laughed out loud. He didn't expect Tang Wan to be so easily teased. He could watch her reaction more in the future. It was very joyful, completely different from her usual graceful demeanor. After the fun, Tang Wan also relaxed. She scooped rice for Yang Chung and toyed with a fresh chicken leg. The 2 of them sat at the table facing each other and ate their lunch that skipped breakfast. "Where's Tang Tang?" Yang Chung asked curiously. Tang Wan rolled her eyes at him. "Look at the time. That crazy girl was picked up by Yuan Yi early in the morning. The 2 of them are so sweet now. I think she can't wait until she graduates from university to get married." That's to be expected. After all, he's a man who's willing to give up his life for her. He's also rich, good-looking, and has a good personality. Such a man would be welcomed by women wherever he goes, but he's still in love with Tang Tang. Sigh, there's nothing to say about this cousin of mine, other than the fact that he's not universal enough. He's like me in everything else. Yang Chung boasted shamelessly, but he didn't blush at all. Cough. Tang Wan choked and covered her mouth angrily. She cleaned up the rice and scolded with a flushed face. "Can you not say such shameless things when we're eating?" Chapter 867. Seeing how excited the woman was, Yang Chung touched his face and smiled foolishly. "All right, let's eat then." "Let's eat, huh?" Tang Wan was annoyed and amused at the same time. This guy could even say universal love. After eating for a while, Tang Wan recalled something and said, "All right, my grandfather asked me to thank you in person. I almost forgot." "Thank you? What is it?" Yang Chung scratched his face with his chopsticks. "I don't remember lending you any money." Tang Wan rolled her eyes again. "Do you think the Tang family is short of money?" Yang Chung was puzzled. "Then what is it?" Tang Wan said, "Didn't you slaughter the Yin family? Don't deny it." Although the government didn't release any information and my grandfather didn't explain it to me, I can guess that no one other than you could wipe out the Yin family in one night. Moreover, I was on alert for the past few days because I was guarding against the Yin family. When Yang Chung heard this, he put away his cynical expression and asked seriously, "What does this have to do with the Tang family?" Tang Wan nodded. "Don't you remember? Your father." "Oh, I mean Commander Yang Pijun ran for the standing committee of the Central Committee, but he lost. Of course, you are one of the reasons why he was removed from the position. This is undeniable, but more importantly, the Yin family has a genius like Yin Buin. In order to ensure the Yin family's position, many people from small parties also felt that the Yin family should have a place, so they gave one of the 8 standing committee seats to the Yin family." Yang Chung still didn't understand. "What does this have to do with the Tang family?" "Let me finish." Tang Wan drank a mouthful of soup and seemed a little thirsty. "Because you killed Yin Qingtian, the position of the standing committee was immediately vacated. It happened too suddenly, so it was impossible to run for the position. So, after the 4 families discussed it, we, the Tang family, took over the position." Yang Chung asked curiously. "The Ning family didn't object? The remaining branch members of the Yin family would have interfered too, right?" Tang Wan smiled. "The 8 standing committee members that decide Huaxia's daily affairs are usually 2 seats for each of the 4 families. But because the Tang family is weak in the political arena and the Ning family is at its peak, the Ning family has 3 seats, the Li family has 2, the Yang family has 2, and the Tang family has 1. But because the Yang family and the Li family's main forces are in the military, having 2 seats is enough influence. Our Tang family is different. We are already in a weak position, and we only have 1 seat." "Wait, if that's the case, did Yin Qingtian replace the Yang family's seat or the Li family's seat?" Yang Chung asked. "Of course it's the Yang family." Tang Wan smiled a little embarrassedly. "I remember telling you in the past that the Yang family's biggest problem is that they have too few descendants. In your generation, other than you and Yang Lai, only Yuan Yi, that kid whose surname isn't Yang, is related to you by blood. The others are considered distant relatives. Commander Yang Pijun only has a few cousins in the central government. Originally, Commander Yang Pijun wanted to replace an uncle who retired, but he was replaced by Yin Qingtian halfway. So it became 3 from the Ning family, 2 from the Li family, 1 from the Tang family, and 1 from the Yang family. Now that Yin Qingtian is dead, the seat should have been taken by the Yang family. But because you killed Yin Qingtian, if the Yang family takes that seat, it would be equivalent to giving in to you. So, for the sake of face, the central government gave the seat to the Tang family after some discussion. After all, the Tang family is the most neutral. My second uncle has already replaced him and become the vice premier and standing committee. For our Tang family, this is a good start for us to recover our political strength." Yang Chung smiled disdainfully. "What's the big deal? Whoever likes it can go. You have to thank me for this. I just want the Yin family to get lost. I don't want to help anyone." Tang Wan sighed softly. "You may not understand, but in fact, entering the standing committee is quite useful, especially when it comes to voting on important matters. Huaxia's current economic development speed can produce unparalleled profits every year. So, as long as they can gain the upper hand, it will be a huge benefit for any family. I know that you have the ability to stay above the country's political power, but you have to know that the real rulers of this world are the leaders and interest groups of the big countries. A person can't always go against the country, unless you really don't care about anything." Yang Chung was silent for a while, then said with a bitter smile, "I know what you're saying, otherwise I wouldn't have chosen to return to the Yang family. Although I destroyed the Yin family, the most important thing is that damn Yin Buin escaped. He's dangerous, so I can't use my own men to find him. Even if I find them, they will be tortured to death by him. I can't let my men die. I can't even be sure if I can kill him if I meet him again. As long as he exists, it means that he can mobilize any forces to deal with me. Plotting and framing are all his usual tricks. At that time, maybe Hongmeng will also think that my existence will affect the stability of Huaxia's foundation, and it's not impossible for them to confront me. I can be fearless, but the people around me, whether it's Ruashi, my mother, Qiangwei, Qinyi, and of course you, Tang Tang, and Yuan Yi, all of you have your own lives. You have people and things you care about and want to protect. I can't just destroy a lot of things just because I don't like them without considering the consequences. So, I must have enough official power to deal with a head-on confrontation. Tang once said happily, "It's good that you know. So, you should go back to the Yang family as soon as possible. I think, with Commander Yang Pejuan and your brother Yang Lai around, it may not be smooth for you to take over the position of the head of the Yang family. But as long as you hold the power of the Yang family in your hands, you will have the support of more than half of the military generals. At least in Huaxia, you won't have any pressure from the officials." Yang Cheng nodded. In fact, Yang Cheng had also considered that if Ning Guangyao was willing to acknowledge Lin Ruashi as his biological daughter, admit the mistakes of the past 20 years, and treat the Ning family as his own, it would also be a good thing. After all, the Ning family was the #1 in power. However, during the meeting in Yinjing, Yang Cheng gave up on this idea because of how cold-blooded Ning Guangyao was towards Ning Guangyao. Compared to the strength of the Ning family, Yang Cheng hoped that Lin Ruashi would not be harmed. At this moment, Yang Cheng's phone vibrated. He took a look and saw that it was Lin Ruashi. Oh no, did Lin Ruashi notice something when I didn't go back for a night? After all, I didn't have breakfast with her in the morning. Yang Cheng carefully picked up the call and asked Tang one not to speak first. He smiled and said, "Ruashi, why did you call me at noon?" Lin Ruashi tried to suppress her anger. "I can't control you if you go out and sleep with other women, but why didn't you even come to the banquet today? If you don't want to go to work, just tell me. It's not a big deal if I send someone else to be the director." "I'm so angry." "Banquet?" Yang Cheng was puzzled. "What banquet? Do you really want to anger me to death? It's fine if you don't show up for today's entertainment media conference, but now you're going to meet with those guests, and you, the director of the entertainment branch, aren't here. What will those big-name media people and star directors think of our Yulei?" Lin Ruashi scolded. Yang Cheng scratched his head. "Why don't I understand? I didn't know there was such a thing." "Nonsense. Didn't you hire that Japanese Hanya as your secretary? Didn't she tell you?" Lin Ruashi said unhappily. "Hanya?" Yang Cheng slapped his head. "Oh right, I didn't go to work yesterday, but she didn't call me either." Lin Ruashi didn't know what to say. She cursed a few times. "Anyway, come here immediately." Yang Cheng felt as if his eardrums were about to shatter. He didn't expect this woman, who usually spoke gently, to be so loud when she was angry. What made Yang Cheng at a loss whether to laugh or cry was that she didn't even tell him where the banquet was. Helpless, Yang Cheng could only give Hanya a call. The female ninja quickly picked up and said respectfully, "Master, what can I do for you?" Yang Cheng was still not used to this woman's catchy word master. He clicked his tongue and said, "Hanya, just now General Lin said that I was absent from some kind of exchange meeting and banquet. What is it?" Hanya immediately replied, "It's an exchange with the entertainment media circle that our Yulei's chief planner will be working on for the second half of the year and next year's products. It will open this morning, and there will be a banquet in the middle. In the afternoon, it will be held until 6 o'clock, and then there will be a party. As the director of the entertainment branch, Master needs to attend." "Then why didn't you tell me yesterday?" Yang Cheng asked. Hanya quickly said in a low voice, "Master, please forgive me. I thought Master had something urgent to attend to, so I didn't dare to come to work and disturb Master." Yang Cheng was about to go crazy. He didn't know how Noriko Okawa trained this female ninja. Her servile nature was vividly displayed. Even a phone call for her made her seem as if she was afraid that he would chop off her head. Yang Cheng didn't bother with her, as he was afraid that she would make a disembowelment if she had nothing better to do. After asking for the location, Yang Cheng bade farewell to Tang Wan in a hurry. As a businesswoman, Tang Wan was very understanding. He still had to do what he had to do. Lin Ruashi had a strong sense of professionalism and responsibility. If he didn't go, she might think that he was looking down on her again. Then, it would be his turn to make a painful disembowelment. Chapter 868. Although Yang Cheng wanted to be there in time, It would be too late for him to put on his suit and drive to the Ulay Convention and Exhibition Center under Ulay International. Looking at the guests and staff leaving, Yang Chung touched his face and picked up the phone with a bitter smile. He dialed Lin Ruashi's number, but before the phone rang 3 times, it was hung up. Yang Chung stiffened. It seemed that the woman was sulking again. He dialed Zhao Hongyan's number. After all, she was his assistant. Zhao Hongyan hesitated for a while before picking up. Yang Chung, what's up? Yang Chung smiled. Don't beat around the bush. Where's Ruashi? Lin Ruashi's crisp voice came from the other end. Hongyan, hang up the phone. Ignore him. Zhao Hongyan awkwardly smiled on the phone and said, Yang Chun, there are even more VIPs coming in the afternoon, and quite a number of foreign friends as well. You should head to the venue for the meeting first. Your seat has been empty all morning. Finally knowing where to go, Yang Chung asked a few staff members before arriving at the central conference hall. The huge round table in the center was already filled with men and women in different attire. Yang Chung didn't recognize any of them. Lin Ruashi was sitting in the innermost leader's seat. Seeing Yang Chung barging in and grinning at her, she couldn't help but pretend she didn't know him. Last night, he had improved quite a bit. How did he become like this in just one night? Yang Chung tugged at the shoulder of his suit that was slipping a little. Ignoring the astonished gazes of the various representatives present, he found his seat and sat down without a care in the world. Just as he sat down, Yang Chung couldn't help but frown at the figure in front of him. Dressed in a light blue Armani shirt with a tie, the handsome man was none other than Li Jianhe, whom they had met at the reunion. Li Jianhe smiled politely. Director Yang, you're finally here. I met you once before. It's a pity I didn't get to see you this morning. Upon hearing Li Jianhe address Yang Chun as director, the rest of the people present finally believed that this rustic-looking man was actually the director of Yu Lei's entertainment company. They couldn't help but have different expressions. Yang Ching narrowed his eyes and didn't say anything. He only glanced at Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi was a little flustered. Afraid Yang Chung would misunderstand, she quickly explained. Director Li is representing BMW's Asian Auto Show this year. He's here for the meeting. Yang Chung smiled in realization. I see, but there's no need to introduce him to me. My memory isn't good. I don't remember who he is. You must be joking, Mr. Yang. Li Jianhe's mouth twitched. But knowing Yang Chen's background, he had no choice but to swallow his anger. Chuckling, he said, I've met you once at a class gathering. I'm Boss Lin's university friend. Yang Ching ignored him. He turned to a bald, fat man beside him and asked, Big brother, you have a nice hairstyle. I want to shave my head too, but my wife won't let me. I'm not handsome to begin with. If I shave my head, only nuns will like me. This nonsensical connection made it seem like Li Jianhe was talking to the air. He froze on the spot. The bald man laughed in a hoarse voice. It's easy to sweat in hot weather. It's convenient to be bald. Director Yang, I heard that Director Yang is Boss Lin's husband. It's enviable that they have such a deep relationship, but Boss Lin is famous for being meticulous. I'm afraid she must have suffered a lot. Ha! The others laughed. They were all smart people in the business world. Anyone could tell that Li Jianhe was trying to get on Yang Cheng's good side. This meant that Yang Cheng had a higher status and was worth befriending. Even if Li Jianhe was embarrassed, he pretended not to know and praised Yang Cheng and his wife instead. Lin Ruashi blushed. She cleared her throat and announced that the meeting would continue. She didn't want to give these people a chance to get close to her. Li Jianhe sat on his seat, a faint smile on his face. His expression did not change at all, like a smiling tiger. But this attitude caused many to be secretly shocked. To have such a calm attitude at such a hot-blooded age, it would be hard not to succeed, even if one wanted to. On the other hand, Yang Cheng looked extremely careless and unattractive. Many people sighed. He was like a flower stuck in cow dung. Of course, these thoughts were just in everyone's minds. The meeting lasted the entire afternoon. Listening to all kinds of business jargon, Yang Cheng almost fell asleep. The people around him couldn't help but shake their heads. It was only when Hanya arrived that she recorded some important information for Yang Cheng. In the evening, after the meeting ended, everyone returned to the five-star hotel provided by Yulei International to rest. The most important event was when night fell. At that time, all the important guests would be present. Lin Ruashi shook hands with a few important business partners before sending everyone off. If she wasn't the host, with her personality, she would never do something so trivial. Yang Chung saw that Lin Ruashi had finished her business. He wanted to say a few nice words to make Lin Ruashi happy. But Lin Ruashi immediately ordered Zhao Hongyan to handle some matters before heading to her special lounge in the convention center. Yang Chung followed Lin Ruashi to her private lounge. Lin Ruashi didn't wait for Yang Chung to come over. She walked into the changing room and changed into her evening gown. It was as if she didn't have time to deal with Yang Chung. Yang Chung, who was rebuffed, could only sit on the sofa and yawn. He scratched his head and thought about what to do. After thinking about it, Yang Chung shouted to Lin Ruashi in the changing room, "Honey, you haven't even said a word to me. Are you still angry? Although I said that I can use my warm face to stick to your cold, but you don't have to do an experiment so soon, right?" There was no movement in the changing room. After a full 3 minutes, the door opened. The first to step out of the door was a pair of snow-white feet wearing a pair of red high heels with a crystal-like texture. Her thin chiffon skirt slowly revealed itself, covering most of her delicate legs. On her ankles, which seemed to be exquisitely sculpted, one could vaguely see traces of blue blood vessels, which were crystal clear. When half of Lin Ruashi's elegant figure walked out, Yang Cheng's eyes had already become blank. He didn't know where the woman found a long white dress with embellishments. She had an ancient Greek-style hanging collar and a pair of slippery, pleated shoulder suspenders. Her pair of jade-like arms were particularly slender and elegant. A black ribbon was tied around her waist, which vividly reflected the exquisite curves of her figure. Her slender waist and full curves complemented each other, making her fresh and refined temperament sublimate to the level of a priestess. She was like a devout saint, untainted by the mortal world, but with an indescribable beauty. When Lin Ruashi saw Yang Chung looking at her with infatuation, she was secretly delighted. She carefully asked with blushing cheeks, "Do I look good?" Yang Chung nodded blankly and then shook his head. Lin Ruashi frowned. "Is it good or not?" "What do you mean by nodding and shaking your head?" "Nodding means it's good. Shaking your head." Yang Chung swallowed his saliva and said, "Because this has already exceeded the scope of good, I can't describe it." Only then did Lin Ruashi let out a sigh of relief. Twirling a strand of her black hair, she walked out with light steps and twirled on the spot. The light gauze fluttered like a blooming white lily, bringing with it a natural jasmine fragrance. I can't help it. There are many A-list celebrities today, as well as many famous directors and writers. There are also some internationally famous celebrities who will be attending, so everyone must be trying their best to dress up well. Although I'm not in the film industry, as the host, I can't be too casual. Otherwise, it won't look good for you, Lei. Lin Ruashi took a deep breath. It's just that the waist is a little tight, but there's no time to change. This set of clothes was the last one I chose at noon. "Ah!" Lin Ruashi exclaimed, because Yang Chung had already rushed up and hugged her. What are you doing? You messed up my clothes." Lin Ruashi laughed and scolded as she pushed Yang Cheng's head away. Yang Chung moved closer to the woman's fair neck and kissed it a few times. With a serious face, he said, "Darling Ruashi, you should change into another set. I'm afraid that if you wear it out like this, other women will feel ashamed and jump off a building tonight." Chapter 869. You're exaggerating. I've been through a lot. There are plenty of red carpets in the world, and they're all superstars. It's good enough that I don't embarrass myself. Lin Ruashi glared at Yang Chung, then struggled out of Yang Cheng's embrace. Yang Chung quickly said, "I'll gouge out the eyeballs of anyone who dares to say they're prettier than you." Lin Ruashi punched Yang Cheng's chest. "Why are you saying such disgusting things again? Can't you say something normal?" Yang Cheng chuckled. "I'm just joking. All right, Ruashi, you're not mad at me anymore, are you?" Lin Ruashi stared at him for a while, then shook her head and sighed. "It's not the first time. I'm used to it. I'll just be mad for a while, then it'll pass." Besides, you didn't even ask me about Li Jianhe's appearance. Since you trust me so much, why do I have to hold on to such a trivial matter? Yang Cheng had a look of realization. So you think I'm being generous? It's actually nothing much. If that guy has any ulterior motives, I'll just break his neck. So I'm not worried at all. You. Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth. She couldn't be bothered to say anything else. It seemed like it was harder to get her husband to stop being violent than to get him to stop touching women. Yang Cheng grinned. He put an arm around the woman's shoulder and sighed. But to be honest, we haven't been married for long, but our experiences are more complicated than most couples' entire lives. A lot of things are just the way they are. You'll get used to it. Don't be so full of yourself. Don't play dumb with me. I haven't asked you yet. Where did you sleep last night? Lin Ruoshi asked coldly. Yang Chun inhaled a mouthful of cold air and started looking around. Lin Ruoshi raised her heel and stomped on Yang Cheng's leather shoe with her high heels. Hey! Yang Cheng yelled. Wife, the leather shoes will break. Lin Ruoshi said hatefully. You're the one worried about your leather shoes. Don't you feel pain? Yang Cheng shook his head. Of course it won't hurt. You must be in pain. Lin Ruoshi stomped her foot again and pouted. Yang Cheng finally understood that if he didn't feel pain, the woman wouldn't be able to find an outlet to vent, so he smiled bitterly and pretended to cry out in pain. Lin Ruoshi nodded in satisfaction and said proudly, It's good that you know pain. The couple didn't have much time to chat because the gala was about to begin. As the host, according to the usual rules, Lin Ruoshi still had to go on stage to say a few words. Thus, the two hurried to the hall of the gala. Originally, with Yulei International's status in the entertainment industry, it wasn't enough to invite a large number of A-list celebrities and entertainment industry veterans to attend this gala. However, because Yang Cheng had sent people to invite a large number of international fashion masters from Europe, Yulei Entertainment was directly pushed to the top. After all, many celebrities hoped to have the opportunity to cooperate with those international masters. Thus, they were very willing to come and walk the red carpet and sign their names. For such a gathering, there was naturally a large number of media reporters. They almost surrounded the entire Yulei Convention and Exhibition Center. However, as the CEO, Lin Ruoshi still had a special passage. She didn't have to worry about being intercepted halfway. When they directly entered the hall from the backstage, Zhao Hengyan, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately signaled the staff to stop the music and start announcing that Lin Ruoshi was going to go on stage. When the hundreds of guests heard the music decrease, they also realized something and started to look towards the stage. Under the spotlight, Lin Ruoshi took a deep breath and slowly walked up. When the woman in the snow-white dress stood in the center of the stage with the elegance she had cultivated since she was a child and the dignity of a superior, facing the hundreds of guests below the stage, all the guests were silent. The entertainment stars, famous directors, and heads of major companies, who had previously looked relaxed, now looked at the hostess on the stage in disbelief. Especially the gorgeously dressed female stars. They suddenly felt that they were overshadowed and that their outfits were incomparably vulgar. This kind of otherworldly feeling wasn't just a matter of appearance. Without the accumulation and absolute confidence from a young age, it was impossible to have such an aura. The couple, Li Jianhe and Shun Yaxin, had a much more complicated expression. The man's eyes were burning, and the woman's eyes were filled with endless jealousy, forming a strong contrast. Although many of them had seen Lin Ruoshi in person, under normal working conditions, even though they would be stunned at first glance, they wouldn't be so distracted for so long. This time, after Lin Ruoshi dressed up, many directors had a look of longing on their faces. It was as if they had found the perfect, uncut jade, and they could mold her into a never-before-seen, iconic character. But very quickly, when they remembered that Lin Ruoshi was a female entrepreneur with tens of billions in assets, they dispelled this ridiculous notion. No matter how glamorous a star was, they were just actors in the entertainment industry. In ancient times, they were actors and actresses. Their household registration was even lower than that of a commoner. Rich families bought and sold them as goods. Even in the current era, Those with a real background and status wouldn't pay too much attention to those dazzling stars. Making them famous and banning them was a game for the rich. How could a behind-the-scenes boss like Lin Ruashi, who could control the rise and fall of those stars, be involved in the entertainment industry? Feeling the intense emotions in everyone's eyes, Lin Ruashi was a little nervous. Many of the things she wanted to say were skipped, and she just wanted to get off the stage as soon as possible. Hence, Lin Ruashi gave a simple speech of thanks and announced the official start of the gala. Then, she walked off the stage. Because many of the people present were still immersed in that flash of beauty, they even forgot to applaud. In any case, the busy day had come to an end. After Lin Ruashi got off the stage, she led Yang Cheng to meet with many important bosses and big-name media people. Although Yang Cheng had never been very diligent about his work, Lin Ruashi still hoped that this man would put more effort into his work. Otherwise, if he always went to hook up with other women, it would only make her feel uncomfortable. Yang Cheng had also learned his lesson. He followed beside Lin Ruashi with a straight face, shaking hands with all kinds of people he didn't know, chatting with them for a while, and using all kinds of foreign languages to deal with foreigners, which actually gave Lin Ruashi a lot of face. At this time, a man with a ponytail, who looked to be in his 50s and wore black-rimmed glasses, and a gorgeous and luxurious woman wearing a fiery red low-cut evening gown walked in front of Yang Cheng and Lin Ruashi. "General Lin, we haven't seen each other for half a year. Do you still remember me?" the man asked with a friendly smile. Lin Ruashi's eyes lit up, and she quickly introduced the man to Yang Cheng. "Hubby, this is Director Yushua. He was the one who produced our company's promotional video half a year ago. It was voted the best corporate promotional video in the country that year. Director Yushua also won the Best Director Award in Cannes and Tokyo Film Festivals this year. Even Hollywood is looking for him to collaborate with us." "Hee, General Lin, you're flattering me. It's all thanks to the cooperation of the leaders and the businessmen that I'm where I am today," Yushua said humbly. Yang Cheng was a little surprised. This seemingly honest man was actually an international master director. Even if Yang Cheng didn't know much about the entertainment industry, he still knew what it meant to win an A-level international film festival. "Miss Lin, are you looking down on Lu Yao? Why are you only chatting with Director Yu?" The woman in the red dress said with a charming smile. Her tone was thick with femininity. Lin Ruashi's expression didn't change. "Why would I? I was just about to say, hubby, you should know Miss Lu Yao, right?" Yang Cheng looked at the woman from head to toe and found her familiar. "I think I've seen her on the news." Lu Yao's eyes flashed with displeasure, but she still smiled and said, "Mr. Yang, it's normal that you wouldn't know her." Lin Ruashi secretly pinched Yang Cheng's waist from behind. How could he say it out so directly? She smiled and said, "Miss Lu Yao is our Huaxia's best female singer this year. She's also the best actress of the University Film Festival. She also won the Best Album Sales Award in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Of course, she's in the news." Yang Cheng slapped his forehead. "Oh, I remember now. Don't you have a song called Heaven Without You?" Lu Yao smiled and covered her mouth in embarrassment. "So Mr. Yang has heard of it. I thought a young man like Mr. Yang wouldn't like it. This song is mainly sung for female friends." She was obviously being polite, but Yang Cheng nodded seriously. "I don't like it. The melody is good, but your voice isn't clear enough. If our Lin Hui, that girl sings it, it would be much better." Chapter 870. It wasn't just Lin Ruashi. Even Director Yushua was petrified. Lu Yao's face darkened with anger. She squeezed out a cold smile and said, "Miss Hui Lin's voice is indeed beautiful. I'm also a fan of hers. But songs always had different styles. Different singers would have different tastes. It's not appropriate for Mr. Yang to deny it so directly. After all, we've all listened to Miss Hui Lin's recording. A live performance is also very important, so you can't say everything." Lu Yao's words were merciless, but since Yang Cheng was very direct, it wasn't hard to understand. Yang Cheng smiled nonchalantly. "That's true. I'm just a layman. Don't be angry, Miss Lu Yao. If you don't believe me, you can ask my wife. Right, Ruashi?" Lin Ruoshi snapped out of her daze and asked, "What?" Yang Chung said, "I'm an honest man, and I'm very direct." "Oh, yes. Oh, no." Lin Ruoshi immediately covered her mouth, her face flushed red. She wanted to run away from the scene. What the hell is this guy saying? Direct? Doesn't that mean he's telling the truth when he said Lu Yao's singing is not as good as Hui Lin's? Sure enough, Lu Yao was already gnashing her teeth, and her eyes were spitting fire. Director Yu Shuo, who had been listening, wanted to laugh but dared not do so. He coughed twice and said, "Mr. Yang, you really know how to joke." Miss Lu Yao is a double superstar of the Song Queen and Best Actress Award. There's no doubt that she's a capable actress. We were just discussing if we should work together in the next movie that I'm producing. Lin Ruoshi saw this and quickly changed the topic. She asked, "Director, what movie are you planning? Can you give us some insider information?" Yushua laughed and said, "It's not an inside story. Let's get straight to the point. I'm planning a Huaxia-style fantasy movie. It's mainly about the Xinxia story, which is the story of sword immortals in our popular Xinxia novels. If it was in the past, Lin Ruoshi definitely wouldn't have understood what Xinxia was. If she had asked her about obscure financial questions, such as financial alchemy, she might have immediately ignited a flame. But now, Lin Ruoshi had learned from Yang Chung that there was indeed a way of cultivation in the world, and she had a certain understanding of the unknown world, so she didn't feel that it was too sudden. However, Yang Chung said, "Could it be that there's a demon who wants to eat Tang Seng's meat in this story? Miss Lu Yao is quite suitable. I think she's like the spider demon from Journey to the West. Haha." "Mr. Yang, are you saying that I'm like a demon, or that my heart is like the spider demon?" Lu Yao sneered. This was not the first time Lin Ruoshi pinched Yang Chung from behind. She couldn't understand why this man was always targeting Lu Yao, as if he had a grudge against this singer whom he had never met before. Yang Chung grinned. "You'll have to ask Miss Lu Yao's father if he chose you because you're different from the rest of the humans." His words were strange, and she couldn't make sense of it. But Lu Yao's eyes narrowed, and her face paled. "Mr. Yang's words are really strange. I don't understand at all." Yang Chung smiled meaningfully. "As long as I understand." Lin Ruoshi and director Yu Shuo looked at the two of them in confusion, clearly dumbfounded. Lu Yao's face darkened, and just as she was about to say goodbye, she seemed to have seen someone and stopped in her tracks. At this moment, Zhao Hongyan led a few men and women from Europe to Lin Ruoshi and the others. Zhao Hongyan had a background in public relations, and her English was very good. She seemed to be chatting happily with the men and women who were dressed like rock stars. "General Lin." Zhao Hongyan smiled and introduced them. "This is the Cranberries from Ireland, who just happened to be in Zhonghai for their world tour. Their lead singer, Miss Dolores, is very grateful to Ulay International for helping with the tour and hopes to get to know you, General Lin." Before Lin Ruoshi could open her mouth to greet them, Lu Yao let out a cry of surprise. "Oh my God, Miss Dolores, the Cranberries." Lu Yao was visibly excited. She stepped forward and greeted them in English. "Hello, I'm Lu Yao. It's an honor to meet all of you." Dolores, who had a head of platinum hair, was at a loss. She did not know who Lu Yao was, but still, she said in a friendly manner, "Hello, it's our first time in Huaxia, so we're not familiar with each other. Please forgive us." As the host, Lin Ruoshi naturally had to introduce Lu Yao's background to them. She also thanked the Cranberries for their arrival. Although Lin Ruoshi did not really listen to music, she still knew about this international supergroup. After all, they were the most outstanding representatives of Ireland's music scene. Although the Cranberries were not very popular, their status in the international music industry was recognized by many authorities. A band like this was not a flash in the pan, but one that had a long life. Therefore, they should not be underestimated. Being able to collaborate with top international musicians was something that many Chinese singers looked forward to. It was undoubtedly a shortcut to the international scene. Hence, when the Cranberries appeared in front of her, Lu Yao's eyes lit up with excitement. Lu Yao had long forgotten about her conflict with Yang Chung, and she began to talk about her love for the Cranberries with a smile on her face. My dear Dolores, you have no idea how much I love your voice. I've been listening to your songs since I was in university, and many of them have touched my heart. When my manager told me that I couldn't get a ticket for your concert in Huaxia, I was so sad, Lu Yao said regretfully. Dolores and the other members smiled happily. They had learned from Lin Ruoxi that Lu Yao was a famous singer, and, as a matter of etiquette, they responded politely. Miss Lu Yao, if you're willing to come to the concert, we can arrange a special seat for you. You just have to let the organizers know, and if there's a chance, we can work together. We've never worked with a musician from Huaxia before, and we're looking forward to it, Dolores said. Lu Yao was overjoyed. There's an old saying in Huaxia, there's no time like the present. Since there are so many musicians and investors here today, and with such an outstanding stage, I wonder if I could have the honor of singing a duet with Miss Dolores? Let's just take it as a request from a little fan. Is that all right? Everyone present could tell that Lu Yao was using this as an opportunity to forge a relationship with the Cranberries. If things went well, there was a high chance that they would actually work together. When that happened, the media would naturally help to promote Lu Yao's music, and she would be able to go international. However, from the point of view of music having no borders, no one could doubt that Lu Yao was using the Cranberries' fame to her advantage. As long as she had the ability, there was no doubt that she would do so. Dolores discussed it with a few of the band members, and after consulting with her manager, she agreed. After all, Lu Yao's talent had been recognized by the Huaxia music industry, and performing with her wouldn't bring disgrace to the band's reputation. Moreover, performing in front of so many celebrities from Huaxia would only help the band gain more fans. When the host was asked if Lin Ruoxi was willing, Lin Ruoxi had no objections. She couldn't wait to see a band like the Cranberries, which usually cost millions to hire, perform a few more times. It was one thing to have an international celebrity on the stage, but the performance would be on a whole new level. Therefore, in order to create a better effect, Lin Ruoxi even asked Zhao Hongyan to sneak in a few well-behaved reporters from major media outlets, so that they could accurately record the live coverage and attract the attention of all parties. Soon, Zhao Hongyan had the staff adjust the sound system and officially announced that the Cranberries and Lu Yao would be collaborating internationally, and that they would be performing one of the Cranberries' classic songs, Dreams, for the guests. In an instant, the gala reached its climax. Many people were cheering, looking forward to the unexpected and exciting performance. After Lin Ruoxi was done with a series of instructions, she took the opportunity to whisper to Yang Cheng, "What kind of trouble are you trying to stir up again? Why do you have to make things difficult for Lu Yao? She might not be a big deal to you, and she might not be as good as Hui Lin, but you don't have to say it out loud. She's a famous celebrity, you know." Yang Cheng put his arm around the woman's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. Besides, the reason why I'm treating her this way is because I find her a little disgusting." "Why?" Lin Ruoxi was curious. Chapter 871. Yang Cheng pursed his lips. "I don't want to talk about it. But don't worry, she'll definitely be wary of me when I mention her father. Even if she holds a grudge against me, she'll still choose to forget everything that happened today." "Father? Her father?" Lin Ruoxi was puzzled. "Why does she look so afraid?" Yang Cheng shrugged. "Baby, there are some things you'd better not understand. Otherwise, you'll think that the world is filled with filth." "Sigh. Human nature," Lin Ruoxi mumbled. "She's so weird." "Forget it if she doesn't want to talk about it." Silence fell over the venue. The Cranberries and Lu Yao stepped onto the stage one after another. The lights in the venue dimmed, and a few warm lights shone on the stage. Colorful neon lights flashed behind them. As the music started, the classic song, Dreams, began to play. Dolores, the lead singer of the Cranberries, was the idol of many international superstars. Her deep tongue roll and elongated voice were imitated by many superstars. "Oh, my life is changing every day in every possible way, and though my dreams are never quite." The beautiful melody captivated the audience. Many of the older fans even hummed softly. When Dolores finished her first verse, Lu Yao, who had been quietly harmonizing, began to sing as well. Lu Yao's voice was slightly hoarse, which was why Yang Chung said that her voice was not clear enough. But it was this hoarseness that gave the song a different feel. Lin Ruoshi leaned over to Yang Cheng's ear and said, "She's actually quite good at singing. You've been too harsh on her." Yang Chung snorted. "I said she's not as good as Hui Lin. I didn't say she's not good. Besides, if Hui Lin were to sing this song, she'd be better than her." Lin Ruoshi was speechless for a while. Finally, she snorted and said, "It seems like Hui Lin is your biological sister. You don't usually call her, but she always asks about you when we talk on the phone. Is that so?" Yang Chung scratched the back of his head. Shan Shan said, "I keep forgetting about it. But aren't we going back to Zhonghai for a concert this month? We should spend more time with her then." Lin Ruoshi sighed. "It's not that simple. Hui Lin is already a superstar now. Don't you know how many fans she has? Just the number of visitors on her official homepage alone is close to 10 million a day. As long as she goes out, she will definitely be recognized." Yang Chung hadn't thought about this problem and felt a headache. "Then I'll have to disguise myself as a man before going out." Lin Ruoshi hit the man's arm. "I can't believe you came up with such a stupid idea." Yang Chung chuckled, feeling rather proud. Before they knew it, the duet between Lu Yao and the Cranberries was coming to an end. The audience couldn't wait to give them a round of applause. Many of the staff had even forgotten about their work and were clapping excitedly. Dolores exclaimed into the microphone, "Miss Lu Yao is truly the queen of Huaxia. Her singing is very unique." Lu Yao smiled humbly on the stage. "I'm just singing with the heart of an idol." "Miss Dolores, you're too kind." Many guests at the scene immediately asked the two of them to sing another song, shouting that it was not enough. "Miss Dolores, I'm also a fan of the Cranberries. Please sing a few more songs." Miss Lu Yao's singing was amazing. "Let's do another one." The Cranberries were at a loss as to what to do. After all, if they continued singing like this, it would be an early concert. Lu Yao's eyes drifted to Yang Chung and Lin Ruoshi, who were watching from below the stage. Her eyes glinted as she said, "Today's host should be General Lin. General Lin is such a beauty that even women would be jealous of. Why don't we invite General Lin up on stage to sing a song?" As soon as he said that, all the guests present immediately cheered. Many of them were still reminiscing about Lin Ruoshi's stunning entrance. Unfortunately, as the host, they were too embarrassed to stare at her. Hence, many of them sneaked a few glances at her. Everyone was looking forward to Lin Ruoshi's singing. Although it was impossible for her to sing like a professional singer, at the very least, she would not be any better than Lu Yao. Moreover, it would not be rude to stare at her, especially the men, who were more than happy to do so. This shocked Lin Ruoshi herself. "Sing." Lin Ruoshi wanted nothing more than to pass out and be sent to the hospital right now. Nervously grabbing Yang Cheng's hand, Lin Ruoshi tried her best to remain calm, but her palms were drenched in cold sweat. Yang Chung frowned. Lu Yao was clearly using this as an excuse to take revenge. Although only a few people close to Lin Ruoshi knew that she could not sing out of tune in the first word, as long as she was not a professional, going up to sing after the Cranberries and Lu Yao's performance was tantamount to suicide. Due to the difference in their singing skills, people would immediately think that Lin Ruoshi's singing was terrible. Unfortunately, Lin Ruoshi's singing couldn't be described as awful. No one was perfect. If God had designed this woman's business acumen to be 200%, then her musical talent would be minus 200%. Lu Yao knew that it would be dangerous for her to fight back directly, so she had to resort to such a subtle method. After all, inviting Lin Ruoshi to sing was not exactly the right thing to do. Lin Ruoshi's eyes were filled with panic. She looked at Yang Chung and asked, "What should I do?" Yang Chung pursed his lips. "How about I sing in your place?" Although he was also an amateur, at least he was better than Lin Ruoshi. As a husband, he should be able to sing in his wife's place. Lin Ruoshi quickly nodded, grasping at straws. If she could refuse, she would have done so already. However, all the guests present were VIPs, and she was the host. If she didn't even dare to go on stage to sing a song and create an awkward silence, it would be too damaging to her dignity. Moreover, Many people might think that she was deliberately looking down on them. Hence, under such a joyous occasion, Lin Ruoshi could not refuse such an offer. Yang Chun cleared his throat and said, "Why don't I sing a song on behalf of my wife? My wife's voice hasn't been very good lately." So she left the stage after just a few words. Can you all understand her? Hearing Yang Cheng's words, the guests felt that they could not force the issue. Looking at Lin Ruoshi's troubled expression, many of them agreed. However, those who were here to see Lin Ruoshi on stage rejected the idea, saying that it would be disrespectful to them. Li Jianhe and Shen Yaxin stood in the crowd with a cold smirk on their faces. As Lin Ruoshi's schoolmates, especially Shen Yaxin, who was her classmate for many years, they naturally knew about Lin Ruoshi's singing skills. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Yang Cheng wondered if he should create an emergency to divert everyone's attention. However, if he did that, the event would be ruined. He was not sure if he would lose more than he gained at this moment. A clear and melodious voice came from the back of the stage. "My sister's voice is not good. Let me sing in her place." The girl did not appear in person, but her voice made many people turn to look at the stage in shock. Then, a slender woman with long hair, wearing a white, off-shoulder dress with blue floral patterns, appeared from the back and slowly walked onto the stage. "Isn't that Miss Hui Lin? It's really Hui Lin? She's prettier in person. My wife and I listen to her songs every day. No wonder Miss Hui Lin signed with you, Lei. She's General Lin's sister? Now that I think about it, they do look alike. Miss Hui Lin, I love you." The audience below the stage was in an uproar. Regardless of age or gender, practically all of them recognized Huilin at once. Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi were shocked. They did not know that Hui Lin had already returned to Zhonghai. "Why is this girl here all of a sudden?" Yang Cheng mumbled. Lin Ruoshi had also forgotten about her nervousness. She said happily, she must have been afraid that there would be too many reporters if she came back on time. So she came back earlier. "Look, everyone knows Hui Lin. You can imagine how popular she is now." It had only been a few months since Huilin stood on the stage. Her face was still fresh and beautiful. But compared to before, there was a bit more maturity, a bit more experience, and a bit more indifferent and noble temperament. It was as if she had grown from a naive girl into a superstar who could win the hearts of countless people. Under the spotlight, her every movement exuded a confident feminine charm.